Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. This Uchiha wants to return to his ancestor Otsuki. Chapter 81. Yuan believes that the external factors of Genocide Night should be gradually cleared up. After Obito, it was the four from the Hokage building. But the struggle within the village is completely different from the battle among ninjas, even though the overall strength of the Uchiha clan has improved. Those four control the entire Hidden Leaf village, and they are cleaned up step by step. After considering external factors, Yuan is also worried about the future of the Uchiha clan. What does the tribe look like? Yuan, who lives in it, knows better than anyone. Advocating strength, integrity, pride and arrogance. If properly guided, the Uchiha clan with its excellent fighting qualities is enough to become a powerful ninja army that is invincible on the ninja battlefield. But if the Uchiha clan is placed in Ninja Village for a long time, not to mention that the fighting will enforce superiority of the clansmen will be eliminated, and the growing dissatisfaction will gradually make them lose control. This is the subjective reason for the original Uchiha extermination. There is no good way for Yuan to do this. After all, human nature is difficult to change, and he can only take one step at a time. Fortunately, the future crisis has eased a lot, and Yuan has more time to prepare. After thinking about it, Yuan took out several sealing scrolls, 27 sets of death masks, kamui, and the flesh and blood tissue suspected of being Madara kaleidoscope, as well as the flesh and blood tissue of Mio Isofu, were all obtained by Yuan. Yuan looked at the masks. A sense of icy gaze spread in the air. Just looking at these masks, Yuan would have a strange feeling that his body was covered with frost. He picked out the mask that Namikaze Minato and Yin Kyubi were on. The solution to the ghoul seal is yet to be studied, and Yuan believes that the more troublesome thing is that the soul of the fourth Hokage is entangled with Yin Juwei. If you want to get Yin Nine Tails, you must cross the hurdle of Namikaze Minato. Yuan also has some thoughts on this. The fourth Hokage is known as the Yellow Flash, which not only means that the Flying Thunder God technique he performed is extremely fast, but also has a high reputation among Konoha ninjas, and there are few stains. Even after the seal is released, this former Hokage will not easily hand over Yin Nine Tails to himself, which is against the opponent's will of fire. Yuan knew that Namikaze Minato had 3 regrets in his life. His wife Kushina died with him, his son Uzumaki Naruto lacked love, and the student Obito who went astray. Yuan temporarily keeps Obito alive, which is also an attempt to destroy Namikaze Minato's belief. While thinking, Yuan looked at the remaining 2 scrolls. Bingdun Shueji and the suspected spotted kaleidoscope eye tissue. The former's fusion priority is not as high as that of Shinwei, while the time-limited harmless ability of the latter is tempting, but Yuan intends to let it go. Heiju handed over these eye tissues to himself for a very strong purpose, and he had to wait until the genetic technology of laboratory made a breakthrough, and then he studied it before making any calculations. After sorting out these genetic materials, Yuan's eyes seemed to look through the onyx to the laboratory below. Scientific research requires a large amount of resources, but only by standing on the shoulders of giants can we see farther and feel higher. It was already 4 o'clock in the morning when Fei Lei Shen's mark returned to the clan. What Yuan didn't know was that the 4 people in the Hokage building didn't close their eyes at all that night. The 4-person discussion room in the Hokage building. The morning light of dawn illuminates the ceramic tea set on the table, in the curling white steam. Only Shimura Danzo was in the mood to sip his tea, while the other 3 looked gloomy and kept flipping through the documents. Anbu's report should have been read. The monks in Namiantang disappeared, and the death mask was replaced. Danzo took a sip and turned. Even the few of us don't know enough about the secret of ghoul sealing. If it wasn't for the seal technique left by Master Mito that mentioned the contractual relationship between the god of death and the mask, perhaps we would have been kept in the dark. Danzo put down his teacup and looked at the 3 people beside him. So, now the masks are stolen. Can it be considered that we lost half of the 9 tails? Our 9 tails Jinchuriki is still a baby. The meaning of Danzo's words is obvious, and the power of the village has been further weakened. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, Danzo, it's too early to say these things now. Let's check first. It is the responsibility of the police force to protect the property of the village. Anbu checks the police force, and the police force checks for missing monks and stolen masks. By the way, this news is enough for only a few of you to know. Besides, the number of ninjas must be distributed to ninjas as soon as possible. When he came to the police force after breakfast, Yuan was called to the captain's office. For cases such as the disappearance of monks in Namiantang and the replacement of the death mask, Fuyu told Yuan and Zishui to listen to them, and then ordered them directly. Yuan, this time your second team will be in charge. Also, you have to pay attention. If this is the work of spies in Konoha from other hidden villages, then hand over the case to Anbu. Although both the police force and the Anbu have the responsibility and obligation to protect the village, when it comes to espionage, that is the domain of the Anbu. Yuan did not expect that the responsibility for investigating this matter would fall on him, the instigator. After leading the task, he went to the scene with Zishui, Long and other team members to investigate. Scattered villagers are pointing around, and they have long developed the habitual view that bad things will happen whenever the police force acts. This caused the team members to be angry with these villagers when they were enforcing the law. Yuan waved his hand to signal the team members to investigate in the Namian Hall, but there was already someone waiting for them here. The silver-haired Anbu Kakashi wearing a fox mask was exchanging information with two colleagues. Is it someone from the police force? This time we will assist you in the investigation. It's called assistance, but it's actually a surveillance investigation. Yuan knew it in his heart and didn't point it out. He divided the team members including himself into 3 groups, and each group was followed by an Anbu. Yuan, Shisui, Takashi and Kakashi came to the Namian Hall, while the other 2 groups scattered to investigate the surrounding area and the 2-story dormitory building. These monks are obsessed with cleanliness, even the corners are spotless. No trace has been found here before. The other party is very cautious and may have planned it for a long time. Zishui looked around and analyzed. Yuan Shindao Zishui, you were right, he looked at the death mask on the wall. Although the death mask carved from wood is a perfect imitation of the pattern, it does not have the feeling of being stared at coldly. If the prisoner's target is the death mask, then he probably has been lurking nearby for a long time. The surrounding dwellings should be investigated intensively. Of course, the possibility that the prisoner has been hiding among the monks cannot be ruled out. It's just what the other party wants those masks for. Yuan didn't understand. Kakashi glanced at the people in the police force and didn't answer. The order given to him by Naruto was that these death masks are very important. No clues were found in the Namiantang, and the 4 went outside to investigate. Soon at Zishui's suggestion, several people noticed the red carp trash can. Kakashi stepped forward for a little inspection and found the imprint of Flying Thunder God engraved on the base. Even though the technique was different, Kakashi recognized it immediately. That is the famous ninjutsu of his teacher, the 4th Naruto Namikaze Minato. Although Kakashi was wearing a mask, his momentary sluggishness naturally couldn't hide from Yuan's observation. He made a gesture to Zishui, and the latter understood. Master Anbu, have you recognized this spell? Without waiting for Kakashi to reply, Ryu, who opened Sharingan to observe, was surprised. I seem to have seen this technique before, it can't be him, he has already. Seeing that the members of the police force had speculated, Kakashi sighed. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Flying Thunder God spell. Although it is different in appearance from the technique used by the 4th Hokage, he can be said to be the most outstanding user of the Flying Raijin technique during his lifetime. Kakashi's words were very clear. It is true that Namikaze Minato will, Flying Thunder God, but the teacher has passed away, and it is impossible to steal the death mask again. Yuan looked at the spell, and said seriously while recording it. Not necessarily. I once heard Oshimaru-sama say that we, Konoha, have a technique that can revive the dead. In the middle of the conversation, Yuan Jaku stopped. Kakashi was silent. In the Night of 9 Tails, he and a group of young ninjas were specially protected by Konoha ninjas, and they didn't know the inside story at all. Kakashi knew. Teacher Namikaze Minato is the only user of Flying Thunder God in Konoha Hidden Village these years, and he mastered it only after extremely hard training. But how could it be the teacher who stole the death mask? Even if there is ninjutsu to revive the dead, why would the teacher or the practitioner do it? Are there any secrets to those death masks? Kakashi, who is in Anbu, naturally knows that flying Raijin and dirty reincarnation are both forbidden ninjutsu with a high degree of secrecy. Only those 4 who often go in and out of the huiying room are eligible to watch the teaching. In an instant, many things flashed through his mind. Could it be that they did this in private? Master Anbu, we are going to investigate this technique around, do you want to go there together? Came back to his senses, Kakashi responded and followed immediately. All of this was naturally seen by Yuan. The scope of the spell investigation soon expanded to the entire Konoha hidden village. For the 4 people who had Sharingan, it was not difficult to find the hidden location of the spell. At 9 o'clock in the evening, after finishing the investigation, Kakashi, who was feeling exhausted, tried his best to complete the report in the Hokage room. Hiruzuru Sarutobi took out his pipe and puffed out the clouds as he listened. Flying Thunder God art is no stranger to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Both the 2nd and 4th generations of Naruto will use it. But how did the 2 dead Hokages appear in the village? If it wasn't for them, how did the Flying Thunder God technique get leaked? Even if they were reincarnated from the filthy soil, who performed the spell? How did reincarnation of the dirt leak out? These 2 types of forbidden ninjutsu are recorded in the sealed book kept by him, and the backup scroll is hidden in the underground treasure house guarded by Anbu. Hiruzuru Sarutobi knew very well that he had never taken these out. Who else would do such a thing? Kaharu. Inflammation. Is it really Danzo? Thinking frowningly, Hiruzuru Sarutobi noticed that Kakashi was still in the Hokage room. Kakashi, it's getting late, you can go back and rest. No, Sandaime-sama, I want to know how important those Grim Reaper masks are. Kakashi was rarely so excited. When those people were alive, he didn't try his best to protect them. But after they passed away, Kakashi didn't want to see their reputation damaged again. Hiruzuru Sarutobi sucked heavily. He knew that Kakashi, who had investigated Konoha Mewtwo's human experiments, was an Anbu ninja with justice in his heart. Sarutobi Hiruzen signaled Kakashi to check the information on the table, and he spoke slowly. The Flying Raijin art is not the exclusive ninjutsu of the 4th Hokage, the 2nd Hokage is also proficient in this art. Perhaps the principles of the spells you saw and analyzed with Sharingan are similar, but the spells of the 2 Hokages are different. Kakashi quickly flipped through the documents. The teacher's Flying Thunder God technique is engraved in the 4 characters, Sword of Ninja Love. It is the same as the operation principle of the concentric circles linking 6 curves found today, but the style is different. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Kakashi, thinking that this is a quick-witted Anbu subordinate. Kakashi, what would you think if I told you that those Grim Reaper masks might have something to do with the 4th Hokage and the Kyuubi that night? Hiruza Sarutobi knew very little about the Grim Reaper mask. Otherwise, they would not be allowed to be stored in the Namian Hall on the edge of the village. Sandaime-sama, even a teacher who doesn't know how to use wooden dungeons, is willing to fight Kyuubi and sacrifice his life to protect the village. If those stolen death masks are related to 9 Tails, there are wooden ninjas available at the root. Hearing Mewtwo ninja, Sarutobi Hiruzaki groaned. This is not the first time that Kakashi has reported the existence of wooden ninja to himself. In the original work, Kakashi once pretended to be the 3rd Hokage, defeated the wooden ninja Yamato, who attacked him, and let the other party go because Konoha needed Mewtwo. If the Grim Reaper, who sealed half of the 9 Tails chakra, resided in one of the masks, then the theft of the masks would make sense. 9 Tails chakra, Grim Reaper mask, mark of Flying Thunder God and wooden ninja. These clues gradually formed a conjecture in Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind. The source of all this is Danzo. After all, apart from myself, only those 3 are qualified to learn and teach the 2 forbidden ninjutsu. Only Danzo, who owns the wooden ninja, has the best chance of stealing the death mask and half of the 9 Tails. Regardless of whether these conjectures are correct or not, Sarutobi Hiruzen believes that the only wooden escape ninja should never be allowed to stay under Danzo. He suddenly stood up. Kakashi, call Anbu's staff, you and I will go to the route together. Kakashi's eyes dimmed, and he replied, yes. At the end of the day's work, Yuan lay leisurely on the bed after taking a hot bath, recalling the experiences of the day. He knew Kakashi, the 6th Hokage in the original work. He didn't trust the 4 Hokage building just after the teacher died. As for what kind of impact the little hint would have on Kakashi during the day, Yuan felt that they would see each other soon. Just when he was trying to fall into the illusion space and carry out daily devil training, the shadow clone outside Shuimei village suddenly disappeared, sending news of the progress to Yuan. The seal outside the Tokama laboratory was swallowed up by the fragments of the golem. A few seconds later, Yuan's figure appeared in the cave. The old baboon fairy in front of him was holding the fragments of the golem, with a dejected look of being sucked. When Yuan was about to go over to have a look, the old baboon suddenly turned into a fairy and rushed towards Yuan. In this regard, Yuan sighed helplessly, and the baboon old fairy fell to the ground with the illusion. Leisurely putting away the fragments of the golem, Yuan then carefully observed the old baboon, who instantly became a fairy. Its deep-set eye sockets spread black eye shadow to the upper cheeks, and on the forehead is a group of concentric circles. This seems to be the fairy art of Chinshozujian. Is it from the wet bone forest? While thinking, Yuan Fen's shadow clone carried the old baboon into Feijian's laboratory. He would like to see, what research does this second Hokage have other than immortal arts? Walking in the passage paved with waterproof floor tiles, the sound of quiet footsteps echoed in my ears. Yuan carefully recalled the relevant plot. That year, after the last battle between Madara and Hashirama, Madara's body was placed here by Tomagama. For ninjas, Uchiha Madara's body is a treasure mountain. Tokama naturally would not give up the opportunity of research. What Yuan didn't understand was why Tomama, who was obsessed with Sharingan research, didn't find Madara's resurrection. Didn't even know that his body was replaced by a shadow clone. After seeing the seal outside the laboratory, Yuan guessed in his heart that the answer might be very complicated, and it was hidden in this laboratory. Go to the power control room and open the main gate. There are wires in the scenery of Konoha Hidden Village in the era when the village was built, and electricity has been used. The laboratories lit up, and Yuan Xingxing looked at the labels on the doors. Development of ninjutsu forbidden technique. Research on wooden dungeon. Development of medical ninjutsu. Research on limits of blood succession, and research on Sharingan, etc. Looking at the laboratory built by the whole village, Yuan was amazed at Chinsho Feijian's ambition. If this second Hokage can stay in power for a few more years, I'm afraid Konoha won't be in the current situation. Uchiha will not exterminate the family in the near future. Looking all the way, Yuan didn't rush to open any laboratories, but came to the rest room. Here is the experimental log of Sensho Toikama during his lifetime. Looking through it roughly, Yuan found that Chinsho Feijian had carried out experimental tasks in this laboratory for many years. The baboon old fairy carried by the shadow clone is one of the immortal experiment subjects. The last record above shows that shortly after Madara's body was moved into the laboratory, Uzumaki Mito completely sealed the laboratory. Even Senjujuma doesn't know the secret here. Yuan didn't understand the reason for Uzumaki Mito's move. Could it be that after Banju's last battle, the seriously injured Hashirama was annoyed by talking about Madara every day? Simply, the Madara corpse research, that Leonjujian hates deeply, is banned together with Tokama's laboratory. This possibility is not small. Thinking about it this way, the thick-eyed Chinshozujian is also a man with a lot of sins. Yuan thought about it, and felt that Toikama didn't even do the preliminary research on Madara's corpse. Or is there other more important research projects in the Chinshobajian during this period of time? Continuing to look through the experiment log, Yuan quickly found some clues. Brother's condition is getting worse. Single quote. In the past, he suffered heavy injuries in the battle with Madara, but he recovered quickly, and there were no hidden dangers in his body. Single quote. After all, Big Brother is the strongest owner of the wooden dungeon of the Thousand Hands clan. Single quote. But the fight where he killed Madara was completely different. Single quote. Is there any conflict between Shanshu and Wood Dun? After all, before he mastered the immortal technique, the eldest brother would not be weakened like this at all. Single quote. Brother's condition became more serious, and he even went out to catch tailed beasts. Single quote. I have to go there together. It seems that the experiment can only be put on hold temporarily. Single quote. After returning, the eldest brother's condition became more serious. Single quote. Fuchi read Tokama's experiment diary essays. He knew that after Senjujuma died of illness, the First Ninja World War broke out. Seeing Tokeima's preliminary research on the condition of the ninja god, Yuan suddenly felt a strong sense of sight. Wooden dungeon, immortal art, thousand-handed pillars. Follow this idea to think about it. In Yuan's view, Chinsho Zujian seemed to be a human-shaped sacred tree. And the heretic golem filled with 9-tailed beasts will gradually restore to the sacred tree. Initially, the growth of the sacred tree not only needed to absorb the surrounding natural energy, but also needed human spiritual energy and physical energy as nourishment. For details, see the animation Hama Wan meets the Sage of the Six Paths for the first time. Absorbing natural energy into a fairy and possessing a wooden escape, Sensho Zujian's own spiritual energy and physical energy are constantly being devoured. In this way, it is not difficult to understand the tenacious vitality of intercolumnar cells. After the battle with Madara, Senju Hashima, who collected tailed beasts one after another, is using life to catalyze this process. No wonder Senju Bashima, who was in his prime, died within a few years. Of course, these are only Yuan's personal speculations. Yuan felt that he needed to be more cautious about the plan of using Zujian Cell and Immortal Art on the clansmen at the same time. Continuing to look through the experiment log, Yuan found some new discoveries. This laboratory is almost managed by Chinsho Feijian himself and his shadow clone. There are only a few people in the village who know the existence of the laboratory. And Danzo happens to be one of them. Unlike Hiruzuru Sarutobi, who inherited the position of Hokage, Danzo inherited all the research materials of Senju Tobima. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Danzang was carefully studying ancient books related to the sealing technique of the Uzumaki family. The loss of the death mask seems to be just an ordinary theft, and Danzo knows that there is definitely a conspiracy behind it. Someone is quietly calling Kyuubi's attention. As the root hidden under the big tree of Konoha, Danzo will never allow anyone to rub secretly under his nose. It's an insult to his very existence. Danzo-sama, the third Hokage, is rushing here with a group of Anbu. Outside the shoji door, a dark figure quietly emerged. I see, you go and inform the other root members to assemble, and you are not allowed to act rashly without my order. As soon as the root ninja left, there were hurried footsteps outside the door. After the door was pushed open, Hiruzuru Sarutobi in Hokage robe walked in unhurriedly. Danzo, I heard that there are wooden ninjas at the root, right? Sun Zan, this is mine. Before Danzo finished speaking, Kakashi wearing a fox mask coerced Mudden Ninja A. Yamato to appear outside the shoji door. Wood escape ninjas are the village's valuable talent pool. It was specially trained by me as Hokage. Do you have any objections? After Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, he looked down at Danzo from above. He didn't tear his skin open to search for the death mask at the root base. Just taking away the Mewtwo ninja is the best warning and blow to ban Danzo. He glanced at the dense Onbi ninjas outside the door. Danzo took a deep breath and closed his eyes. It was a coincidence that Mewtwo Ninja A was able to survive, and it was also Danzo's special preparation for himself to become Ninetales Jinchuriki. Even if it is for the village, it must be in your own hands. But right now, he is surrounded by Anbu of Rizan, and the situation is stronger than others. Rizan, I hope you will not regret your innocence in the future. Hiruzuru Sarutobi glanced at Danzo, turned and led the team away. At this time, the root ninja appeared outside the shoji door in an instant. Rizan suspects me. Is it because of the leakage of forbidden ninjutsu such as Flying Thunder God and Dirty Reincarnation? Single quote. Well, Rizan didn't do it, and those two didn't have the guts either. Single quote. That is to say, Danzo got up and went to the inside, and took out a record of some years of experiments. Did it leak from the laboratory left by the second Hokage? The seal of that laboratory has been broken. Danzo pondered for a while and called in a senior root ninja. You go to this address to confirm. Danzo said calmly after handing over the information to Ryoma, an oily woman who is good at repelling insect invasion. If you find any abnormalities, immediately withdraw and notify me. Hema Lab, Ninjutsu Forbidden Art Development, Sub-Room. Turn on the light, and the bright light instantly fills the underground space the size of 2 ninja schools. Dozens of puppets are piled up on the edge of the wall. After a little identification, Yuan quickly recognized it. Back then, the Chunin exam he took was held in Akahara, a place as dangerous as the Death Forest, where this kind of puppet with chakra as its power source was buried. From Ova, looking for red clover. The second Hokage Senju Tomona studies dolls and puppets, precisely for Konoha to have the same puppet technology as that of Sand Hidden Village. Yuan glanced briefly at the puppets, and then paid attention to the compartment where ninjutsu forbidden data was stored. As he expected, those ninjutsu forbidden techniques had already been taken away by the revived old bald head. Leaving the ninjutsu forbidden technique development sub-room, Yuan browsed the wood dungeon research, medical ninjutsu development, blood succession boundary research, and Sharingan research, one by one. There are no useful materials at all, and even some old experimental instruments are completely scrapped. To turn this place into my own laboratory, I need to spend money to purchase experimental equipment. The Uchiha family advocates powerlessness, and has no interest in scientific research at all. After thinking for a while, Yuan returned to the ninjutsu forbidden art development sub-room to dispel the illusion of the baboon old fairy. After seeing the surrounding training facilities clearly, the ignorant baboon old fairy showed fear and excitement on his wrinkled face. As if some kind of PTSD was triggered. Seeing this, Yuan used fire to escape and attack the baboon old fairy. Feeling the threat of life, the pupils of the baboon old fairy shrank, and the fighting instinct sleeping in the memory was instantly awakened. Jumping up to avoid the fire escape ninjutsu, clasping his hands together, the baboon old fairy condensed natural energy on the spot. In the vision of Sharingan, the already abundant chakra of the baboon old fairy was mixed with a whole new energy. Its spiritual energy, physical energy and absorbed natural energy quickly form a three-point balance. After about half a minute, the old baboon went into fairy mode. On its wrinkled face, fear, excitement and even all emotions disappeared, and the whole baboon seemed to blend into the surrounding environment. In Yuan's field of vision, the baboon old fairy instantly dragged nearly 1,000 double images and appeared in front of him. The thin body punched out a powerful punch, and Yuan, who was blocking with both arms, was blasted out. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the baboon old fairy completed the fire escape seal. The art of fireball. Huge fireballs hit abyss as they scraped the ceiling. Yuan calmly used Token's water escape ninjutsu to counteract it. However, after merging the energy of the fairy art, the power of the holy fireball has been multiplied several times. Yuan spent nearly 10 times the amount of chakra to barely offset it. The baboon old fairy walked behind Yuan in an instant. Both fists hugged each other and fell from the sky. The whistling sound of tearing the air almost shattered the eardrums. Yuan's fingers trembled, but he didn't block it in the end. Boom! A fist with the kinetic energy of the explosion hit his shoulder, and Yuan smashed to the ground like a meteorite, stirring up half of the laboratory dust. Frowning and thinking, Yuan silently stood up. In fairy mode, the power of ninjutsu increases amazingly. In terms of physical skills, judging from the strength, if you don't use chakra defense, the punch of the old baboon can probably smash the body of an ordinary ninja. The old baboon doesn't understand illusions, so it can only test illusion resistance. Taking the baboon old fairy as the experimental subject, Yuan tested the illusion resistance of the fairy mode. As for the injury on his body, he didn't care. After fusing the golem gene, Yuan's body's recovery ability was already exaggerated. About 15 minutes later, the baboon old fairy left the fairy mode and stood in front of Yuan with a dull expression. After some tests, Yuan got many useful conclusions. After all, the baboon old fairy is a ninja beast trained out of boredom after the old spotted head was revived. Under normal circumstances, its comprehensive strength can barely reach the threshold of Jonin. And after entering the fairy mode, the overall strength of the baboon old fairy is close to the shadow level. But after this observation, the fairy mode must be turned on. Putting aside the external factor of hard training, the caster's own chakra must also meet the standard. Originally, Yuan planned to use the interpillar cells to further increase the chakra of the tribesmen, and then practice immortality to improve their strength. But now we have to try something else. After careful consideration, Yuan dispelled the illusion of the baboon old fairy, and threw a whole bag of jerky to him. Not long ago, the still fierce baboon old fairy suddenly burst into tears. Over the past few decades, his hard work to survive is inhumane, and this bag of jerky is salvation. While wiping tears, he gnawed, and smashed his mouth when he was full. The baboon old fairy just touched the ground with his hand, wrote, "Is there any more?" Single quote. Although it understands human writing, it cannot speak. Yuan replied, "Re-enter the state of fighting with me just now. Let you be full." This time, Yuan took out the fragments of the golem and absorbed the natural energy absorbed by the old baboon. At the beginning, the mission of the Kingdom of the Sea was over. Yuan's left arm was partially petrified due to natural energy, and even the fragments of the golem could not be absorbed. But this time, the process of the golem fragments absorbing natural energy was extremely smooth. Delicately manipulating the fragments of the golem to pass the chakra to himself, Yuan always pays attention to his own changes. Soon, he felt that his whole body was integrated with the surrounding environment, and he could even sense the flow of chakra around him. After reconciling with the fragments of the golem, I have entered the immortal mode. At the moment, Yuan began to test his own changes. As expected, taijutsu, ninjutsu and genjutsu have been fully enhanced. And at 5 minutes, that sense of being one with the surroundings is gone. If you pass the fragments of the golem, you can initially transform into a fairy. So, can the intercolumnar cells be made into a close-fitting inner armor? Can the wearer enter the immortal mode? Putting this idea down, Yuan didn't delve into it. Entering fairy mode, he sensed an unexpected guest. At the foot of the mountain where the collapsed cave is located, Ryoma, the root ninja oil girl, is taking advantage of the moonlight to identify the terrain. Soon he noticed the cave at the top of the hill. Pressing the ground with her hands, the oil girl Ryoma releases the parasitic worms in her body. This is a family secret technique of the Yunvi clan, which can use insects instead of ninja senses to complete detection and perception. It feels like something is wrong. My bug has been petrified. This should be the abnormality that Danzo-sama said. The petrified insects have lost their use value, and the oil girl dragon horse left in an instant as soon as they arrived. What he didn't notice was that for a moment, the waning moon in the sky was brighter. Abyss emerged silently. Ryoma, the root ninja came here specially. Danzo really noticed. Yuan glanced at the parasite crawling aimlessly on the ground without the chakra supply from its owner. Just now, in addition to using illusion to bewitch perceptions on Yunvi Longma, Yuan also specially used illusion chaotic Chong on him. Yuan didn't know what effect this small arrangement would have, and he was quite looking forward to it. In the next few days, Danzo sent several waves of root ninjas, all of which were affected by Yuan's illusion. As a result, Danzo didn't get the information that the token lab was unsealed at all. Of course, Danzo didn't notice the root ninja around him, and was quietly given psychological hints by Yuan. Yuan temporarily ignored the thoughts of these Anzi. In the past week, he has devoted himself to developing intercolumnar cells into a close-fitting inner armor that can absorb natural energy. Until the morning of the new week, Fuyu handed over a notice of Jonin selection to Yuan. At 8 o'clock in the morning, the police force building. The energetic Uchiha people come and go, and the atmosphere is extremely busy. In the conference room, Fuyu convened the elite of the police force and announced the pre-selection list of hidden Murakami shinobi. Yuan was not surprised that he appeared on the list. After all, according to the information held by Konoha's senior management, he has an extremely powerful soul and is good at spiritualization. Strength is particularly prominent. As long as you get proper guidance and training and complete some key tasks, you can be promoted to Jonin at any time and supplement the high-end combat power in the village. After all, after the Night of the Nine Tails, Konoha lost a large number of Junin. Today's Jonin selection is more about supplementing the upper-level power of Yinkyun. In fact, to be promoted to Jonin, there are extremely high requirements on the ninja's resume, strength and even leadership ability. Among the Uchiha clan, only those who have opened the Sangyoyu Sharingan and the Chunin Job Agency will have the opportunity to be selected. Among them, the existence of Yuan is quite special. His kaleidoscope is opened through the fusion of genes. Usually he shows people with a pair of ordinary eyes, and if he doesn't take the initiative to reveal it, the clansmen don't even know that Yuan has opened Sharingan. But after crushing Uchiha Inahara, the captain of the 4th unit. In public, no one in the police force doubts Yuan's strength. Instead, they were curious about Yuan's potential. The strength in front of the eyes is enough to be the captain, but what about after the eyes are opened? In the meeting room, Fuyu read out the rules for the selection of Jonin in public. This time, the selection rules are not the previous family recommendation and completion of specific tasks. After completing the elimination of the group arena, you will go to the front line to participate in the final battle against Union. As for whether you will finally pass the JNIN selection, the village will decide based on your performance on the battlefield. For the selection of Jonin, Fuyu sees it very clearly. Not to mention that the Uchiha clan is the strongest blood family in Konoha Hidden Village. Because of the sharing eyes, it is not difficult for the Uchiha clan to select Jonin. If you are strong enough, if you are lucky, you can pass once or twice. Even if you are not strong enough and have a little bad luck, as long as you practice hard to develop Sharingan, you can be promoted to Jonin if you participate in it a few more times. But there is no doubt that the difficulty of Jonin promotion is far greater than that of Chunin exams. Fuyu announced that it was over, and dismissed everyone but kept Yuan. The situation on the battlefield is changeable and complicated, and even elites like your father and mother will encounter accidents. Yuan, I don't recommend that you participate in this Jonin promotion. Fuyu said seriously. His eldest brother and sister-in-law died on the battlefield, and he didn't want his nephew to make any mistakes. Before arbitrarily killing his nephew's future, Fuyu decided to discuss with Yuan first. Patriarch, it is a very precious opportunity to be promoted to Jonin. I don't want to miss it. What's more, the current situation in the ninja world is unpredictable. Will the next task of being promoted to a ninja be easier than this time? Yuan firmly said. Seeing that his nephew insisted, Fuyu couldn't say anything more. In fact, Yuan also has his own needs for being promoted to Jonin. The job promotion in Yinkyun means that he has more power to choose. In the plan, both the Bingdun Shuiji and the Death Mask have been obtained, and the identity of the police force is no longer important to Yuan. After becoming a Jonin, let alone the right to speak, information and resources in the village have been greatly improved. The convenience of independently receiving missions, selecting team members, and going to other countries to perform missions is more convenient for collecting blood successors. Captain, do you want to do special training after the patrol mission is over? Competing on the same stage with other strong men in the village, I am a little nervous. In the waiting room of the 3rd team, Shishui and Long approached. Like Yuan, they are on the shortlist for promotion to Jonin. No, I have other arrangements. However, are you sure about this promotion? Yuan asked. Zishui nodded confidently. He already had the strength to be promoted to a Jonin a year ago, and what he has to do now is to follow the steps. On the other hand, Long had only opened the 3-hook jade not long ago, so he was not very confident in his own strength. Just right, I'm going to complete a research recently, maybe I can increase my strength in a short time. Zishui was surprised when he heard about his strength. It is his inherent cognition that ninja training requires steadfastness, diligence and hard work. Long thought about it, and asked cautiously, will there be no side effects if you increase your strength for a short time? The captain is a disciple of Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, so it is not surprising that he has made some research inventions. Of course not. If you are interested, you can try it then. If we pass the primaries, we're going to the front lines. One more whole card, one more possibility of survival. Hearing what Yuan said, not only Long, but also Zishui became interested. Lai Yuan's shadow avatar has been busy these days in the Phagian laboratory. After confirming the research plan of making intracellular armor between columns, Yuan divided the whole experiment into 3 stages. In the first stage, the pillar intercellular inner armor was developed into a chakra power bank, the principle and function of which are similar to those of golem fragments. In the second stage, on the basis of the intercellular armor between the pillars, the function of absorbing natural energy is developed to output stable senjutsu chakra and help ninjas enter the sage mode. In the third stage, try to awaken the Mudden Shuiji stored in the cells between the columns. In the beginning, Yuan planned to fuse the genes of the cells between the columns and directly awaken Mu Dun. However, After learning that the combination of wood dun and shanshu may consume a lot of his mental energy and physical energy, Yuan temporarily gave up the plan to fuse the genes of the cells between the columns. Fortunately, after a week of constant experimentation at the cellular level, Yuan has cultivated the tissue formed by intercolumnar cells into a wearable and replaceable inner armor. After the use of special agents to inhibit the division speed of intercolumn cells, intercolumn cell intracellular armor has become an alternative chakra power bank. According to the standard of ordinary ninjas, the data after Yuan's test showed that using inner armor can probably increase the amount of chakra by 3 to 5 times. Not to mention that the combat duration of the wearer is extended several times, even the power of ninjutsu and taijutsu will be increased by 1 to 2 times. Of course, these are only experimental data, and there is still a lack of actual combat verification. So the next morning, Yuan got up early and went to the training ground. Since defeating Uchiha and Ahina easily, Fuyu seldom let Yuan participate in training. This time Yuan took the initiative. At the training ground where the third team is located, Yuan, Peng Guanlong and Zishui practice duel. Regarding the upcoming Jonin selection, the two treated it with caution and hardly missed any training time. After fighting against body, shuriken and illusion, the two pulled away from each other at the same time, and used the powerful fireball technique to attack each other. The scorching flame dissipated, Long was out of breath, and Zishui looked like he hadn't exerted his full strength. The same Sengoyu Sharingan, in terms of application and development, it is obvious that Zishui, who is younger, is slightly better. At this moment, Yuan Chaolong, who was watching, waved. "Captain, why are you here?" Yuan, who hadn't participated in training for several days, suddenly appeared, and Long remembered the research the captain mentioned yesterday. He asked mysteriously, "Captain, your research was successful." Yuan laughed. "Why is your nose so good? Come on, try it." Seeing this scene, Zishui on the side also became serious. It was dawn, and the morning light was bright. In Yuan's hands, the columnar cell inner armor, resembling a transparent breastplate, shines brightly. On the side, Longhei Zishui opened the Sharingan and observed carefully. The amount of chakra contained in it was quite amazing. Long scratched his head, a little confused. "Captain, why does this inner armor look so soft?" Yuan didn't talk nonsense and signaled Long to put on the inner armor. And Zishui on the side has already made preparations in the training ground. Zishui has some guesses about the effectiveness of the chakra inner armor. As for the actual effect, he intends to verify it with actual combat. Putting on the inner armor, the exhaustion accumulated on his body is slowly recovering. There is a kind of comfort like pouring a bottle of iced drink on a hot day. Feeling the chakra slowly filling up in his body, Ryu turned to the opposite side of Shishui. "Vice Captain, let's fight again." Of course. As soon as the words fell, Long and Zishui sprinted forward at the same time. Arms clashed, and the strong recoil made Zishui's brows twitch. In the past 2 days, he has played against Long many times, which gave him a general understanding of the strength of his subordinates. Long is still a long way from himself in the development of Sharingan and the application of chakra. Therefore, in the training, Long Nang can barely achieve a tie with himself in the early stage, but if he persists, he will lose quickly. But this time, Zishui realized something was different. In the initial probing attack, Ryu surpassed himself in strength and speed. This is a situation that never happened in the past. The two quickly confronted each other with a melee technique, and while Zishui opened the distance, Longshan moved behind Zishui and clamped Zishui's arms and shoulders. However, it may be due to the gap in combat experience, even though the inner cell armor between columns has greatly improved Long's speed and strength. However, gaining the upper hand for a while, Long actually became a little bit tied up. Casting the Sharingan illusion technique, taking advantage of Long's release, Shisui opened the distance again. Long stood there in amazement. He opened Sharingan late, and he is much worse in development. In ninja, body, and illusion, the gap in illusion is particularly large. Unexpectedly, the illusion that Zishui cast on him just now was dispelled in an instant. This is not because I have developed by leaps and bounds on Sharingan. At that moment, a large amount of chakra broke out in the inner armor, forcing the chakra flow in the body to calm down. Realizing the reason, Long's expression was ecstatic. This means that he has one more whole card against illusion. While Long was stunned, Zishui was also shocked. When training with Long, he was rarely forced to use illusion. Just wearing an extra inner armor, Long's strength is actually comparable to his own. Zishui couldn't help looking at the captain, Yuan, who was outside the court. This method of improving strength does not require taking medicine and stimulating the body with special chakra. It was the first time seeing Zishui. Rarely, the competitive spirit in his bones was fully stimulated. Taking advantage of the gap caused by the confrontation with Yushu's shuriken, Shisui completed the seal and performed the phantom instant body technique. While breathing, one by one, phantoms, identical to Shisui appeared around Long, and they attacked close to the body with short ninjas. There are a total of 8 phantoms, each of which seems to be an entity, and the attack frequency increases instantly. Long's Sharingan shook at high speed, struggling to resist the attack. Outside the arena, Yuan watched with folded arms. Compared with Zishui, Long's fighting quality is much worse. But with the intercolumn cell inner armor supplying chakra, Long's physical condition is stronger than Shishui's at this time. This is also the reason why Zishui was forced to use the phantom blink. If it drags on, he will definitely have to admit defeat due to the excessive consumption of chakra. Controlling the battle logic of the two, Yuan carefully examined the consumption speed of the inner armor in the intercolumn cells. Under the action of cytostatics, the propagation speed of intercolumn cells is strictly controlled. After the large amount of chakra contained in it is exhausted, it will take some time to recover. As for the current battle, Yuan regretted that he did not see the experimental data he wanted. Under Zishui's high-frequency attack, although Long's physical strength is better preserved, it cannot make up for the gap in combat experience. When Zishui appeared behind Long, he used his short forearm to lay across Long's neck. The result of the battle is already clear. This was not what Chaoshui Yuan expected. After winning, Zishui, who was out of breath, said a few words to Long, who had not exhausted much energy, and hurried towards Yuan. "Captain, do you still have the inner armor on war?" Seeing that Long, whose strength is far inferior to his own, can force out hidden moves with a single armor, Zishui recognized the potential of the inner armor. Yuan nodded and smiled. Also, Long's one is not alone. Hearing that, the entire third team members came together. They have been watching the battle between the deputy captain and Long. Just to say that before the start of the last game, Long's physical strength was worse than that of Zishui. You can put on the inner armor, and after a fierce battle with the vice captain. On the contrary, the vice captain was exhausted, and Long acted like a normal person. Everyone has sharing eyes, and they can observe the abundant amount of chakra on the inner armor. The captain will fix one for me too. If I have 2 jades, I will soon be able to open 3 jades. Captain, I want it too. The enthusiastic members of the third team quickly attracted Fuyu's attention. Yuan calmly distributed the inner armor to the team members. Soon the internal training intensity of the third unit was directly turned up several levels, and even other members of the police force were attracted. The team members who were watching and only focused on venting the chakra in their bodies became embarrassed. Then, they challenged the fourth team on the spot, intending to avenge their shame. Facing the menacing challenge of the third team, there is no reason for the fourth team not to accept it. Everyone is Uchiha, who doesn't advocate force. Looking at the two teams in formation, Fuyu came over and patted Yuan on the shoulder. The inner armor you took out is also a masterpiece of Orochimaru. Why haven't I heard of it? Fuyu and Orochimaru do not have a deep friendship, they only know that the other party is good at research. He even suspected that the lost clansmen in the village during World War III were related to Orochimaru. The teacher's research is more complicated than this. These are just some gadgets that I tinkered with myself. Fuyu's modesty made Fuyu's eyes twitch, and he improved the ninja's strength in a short period of time without any side effects. You call this a gadget? Fuyu didn't know where his nephew learned to be cautious and clumsy, which was incompatible with Uchiha's style. He opened his mouth to speak. No, if this gadget can be used on the battlefield, I'm afraid not only our Uchiha clan, but the casualty rate of the entire Konoha ninja will drop significantly. Yuan did not deny Fuyu's approval. If the guards have one person, the overall strength of the Uchiha clan will be greatly improved in the short term. Yuan said meaningfully. Fu Yu didn't answer. The third team suppressed the results of the fourth team in a very short period of time, which made him feel uneasy. Indeed, Yuan, are you short of money for research? Fu Yu suddenly asked. Since the last night in the office, Fu Yu has paid more and more attention to Yuan. Right now, what Yuan said and did was naturally seen by Fu Yu. Yes, Patriarch, scientific research is a big project that burns money. Because of this, Sensei Orochimaru is willing to compete for the fourth and even the fifth generation of Hokage. But if there is no scientific research, this chakra inner armor will naturally have nothing to do with our Uchiha family. Yuan didn't use the title of intracellular armor in front of Fu Yu. What's more, this is still a preliminary development version. With further research, Yuan turned to look at Fu Yu. Even Takashi, or the young Itachi, are qualified to use this inner armor to make 2 moves against you. The inner armor between columns also absorbs natural energy and assists in entering the immortal mode. The function has not been unlocked. Yuan's words were not threats, but to help Fu Yu make up his mind. Fu Yu has always had illusions about improving the relationship between the Uchiha clan and Konoha Hidden Village. From Yuan's point of view, the Uchiha extermination in the original work also has internal factors, and Fugaku's indecision cannot escape the blame. For the time being, only the inner armor will be equipped for the players participating in the selection of Jonin. The relevant experimental funds, you give me the amount, and I will hand it over to you soon. Fu Yu pondered for a while and said decisively. Yuan is very satisfied with this. Relying on the Uchiha clan may be dangerous, but money will naturally not be lacking. 8 o'clock in the morning, Yuan's home. Kurama Zion, Hinata Ling and Hongdu come to visit. Since this period of time, they have been committed to research related to cloning technology. After learning that Yinkyun was going to hold a Jonin selection, they simply visited Yuan to ask Yuan's intentions. The hostess of the 3 daughters was Obito's grandma, and the old man was very happy when he saw the 3 beautiful girls coming to the house to find their god-grandchildren. Quan was also surprised when his elder brother knew so many female ninjas. Before she had time to go to school, she arranged for the shadow clone to go out, while she quietly hid and observed secretly. After Yuan finished training and recovered all the inner armor, he went home to have breakfast. However, before he even entered the door, he heard the community death conversation related to himself. Let me tell you, my Jayuan is a very good kid. He's a member of the Konoha police force, and he even became the captain. The monthly income is very stable, and the character is also very good. To be honest, many young girls in the clan ask me about Yuan's relationship status. Seeing that Obito's grandmother was getting more and more crooked, Yuan could only open the door and interrupt the conversation forcibly. I don't want Zion and Lingjung to listen to melon seeds cracking with gusto, while Hongdu beside him gnaws on the watermelon contentedly. Seeing her nemesis, Uchiha Yuan coming back, she waved happily. Uchiha Hitomi, I didn't expect you to be quite popular in the clan. Why have you never heard of it? Granny Obito looked calm. When she said this, she was boasting that she was a grandson, and she was also reminding the 2 older girls. The grandson of our family is very good. Quan, who was hiding in the dark, wanted to cover his face when he heard it. How could his brother know any young girls from the clan? On the contrary, Zion and Ling scratched their eyes deeply. The former asked curiously, Grandma, tell us which Uchiha girls Yuandu knows. The latter kept a quiet smile. Unexpectedly, besides us, Mr. Yuan has a rich emotional life, no wonder he is willing to stay in a boring laboratory. In the living room, although the conversation was still going on normally, Yuan felt a strange silence. Everyone would sneak a glance at him when they were talking, or pushing their hair behind their ears, or looking up with a belly laugh. Except for the few people sitting in the living room, Yuan could still detect the gazes in the dark. At this time, the only one who can still be at home is Quan. In this regard, Yuan asked without any superfluous expression. Aren't you guys busy doing experiments? What are you doing here suddenly? Hearing this stranger's tone, Zion and Ling frowned slightly. On the contrary, the giggling red bean looked narrowly at Yuan with an expression of, "Uchiha Yuan, you were promising, how dare you talk to us like that? Yuan, you're back. The morning training was hard. Why don't you take a day off today and go shopping with them? The work of the police force can be done every day." I don't know why, Obito grandma felt a little shy about being a grandson, so she came to assist. Anyway, as an old man, she is so good at boasting, she is not as good as the young people. You have to create opportunities for your own grandson, right? Yuan's eyes were empty, and he had an expression of lovelessness towards Grandma Obito's behavior. You guys came out so early, you probably haven't had breakfast yet. My treat today. Hearing eating, Hongdu was moved instantly. Ling and Zion looked at each other and did not refuse. I'm sorry, Grandma. No problem, no problem. Granny Obito pulled out a bulging wallet like a magic trick, and stuffed it into Yuan's hand. Our Uchiha tribe is remote, and there are many snacks that are very good. You take them to taste it, don't worry about me, an old man. Seeing everyone leaving, Grandma Obito was busy making an appointment with Zion and Ling for their next visit. For the short red bean, encourage her to eat more, so she doesn't have to worry about Yuan's wallet. Even though Yuan was already a very powerful ninja, the scene in front of him made him a little overwhelmed. Fortunately, when it was delivered to the door, Grandma Datu went back on her own. Only then did Quan quietly appear in the living room. Quan, you haven't gone to school yet. That's great, you can help Grandma take a look. Which girl does Wang Yuan like more? Only 7-year-old Quan heard a black line on his forehead. She is still far away from the world of adults, and her knowledge is limited. Grandma, brother is still young, I think they are more like a companion relationship. Also, I'm going to school, Quan said reluctantly. In fact, she planned to follow her secretly to see what the hell was going on with her brother. But it would be wrong to follow the smell according to Grandma's order. This kind of thing has to be quietly known only to oneself. Well, Quan is this month's pocket money, but Grandma remembers giving it to me, doesn't she? Although he refused in his heart, Ketwan could hardly control his hands and took the ticket. I see. Don't worry Grandma, I'm also a ninja, and I will definitely bring back the information you need. After finishing speaking, Quan Shao blushed slightly, and left in an instant. On the other side, the female ninjas from the Orochimaru squad, who led Futobuchi, first went to the police force to ask for leave, and then walked aimlessly with them. In the land of the Uchiha tribe, there is a bustling commercial street, among which there are many exquisite snack bars. After this trip, the wallet Yuan Shin received shriveled up. After eating the red beans, Zion and Ling didn't take the initiative to talk about the reason for their visit. By the artificial lake next to the training ground, the four of them sat leisurely on the pier dangling their feet. This is a rare leisure time since the Third Ninja War. As a substitute teacher, Kurama Zion coughed to stir up the topic. Yuan Jun, you should have heard the news about the selection of Jonin. Because of this incident, Mr. Oshimaru contacted me recently. His suggestion is not to recommend you to participate. Zion is already very ninja. Dashimaru left the village, and she, the substitute teacher, took charge of Dashimaru's class. Yuan, Ling and Hongdu were also her disciples. I heard that we have to go to the front line of Union. Isn't this too cruel for us who are good at scientific research? Ling's Hyuga clan also encouraged her to participate in the Chunin selection. As the daughter of a white-eyed hero, the sooner Ling is promoted to Jonin, the more it will show the importance the clan attaches to the branch. Hongdu is also eager to try. She is the youngest, but her confidence in passing the JNIN selection is no less than that of Yuan. In my case, I should be qualified to participate in the JNIN selection. As for Ling and Hongdu, I have the same suggestion as Mr. Orochimaru. There are so many Junin who died on the battlefield, you don't need to go. Hearing what Yuan said, Hongdu was not happy. Although Uchiha Yuan won every competition, Hongdu always felt that he could beat his senior brother violently if he worked hard. It just never happened. Yuan really makes sense. This time, Ling nodded obediently. Although the conditions for JNIN selection have been relaxed this time, it is too dangerous to set foot on the battlefield. Orochimaru has always pursued the principle of not taking risks, except for Hongdu's arrogant thinking, and Yuan is the only one who talks about it. What about you? The three women said in unison, staring at Yuan. Of course I'm going to participate. Being the captain of the police force already shows that I have the strength of Jonin. Regarding Yuan's show-off, Hongdu is outspoken. The Uchiha elites who don't have Sharingan, so amazing. Ling and Xian looked at each other without any objection. They know the inside story of the mission of the country of the sea, and know Yuan's true strength. So, because of these things, you have been talking with my grandma for a long time, you really have love. Seeing that the atmosphere was slightly heavy, Yuan complained. Ling and Xian had their own plans in mind, looked at each other, and didn't bother to talk to Yuan. Instead, Hongdu pointed to the two Anbu ninjas who came from a distance. Uchiha Fuchi, they didn't come to look for you, did they? The leisure time with the Orochimaru class was interrupted, and 15 minutes later, Yuan appeared in the Hokage building. Opposite him, Sarutobi Hiruzen the third Hokage, advisor Mitomen En, and Tanju Kaharu, and assistant Shimura Danzo were sitting. Kakashi and Tenzo, Mewtwo ninja armor, who only reached his shoulders, touched the ground on one knee. Master Hokage, someone brought it. Okay, hard work, you two step back. After reading the Jonin selection list submitted by the major ninja clans, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, stared at Fuchi. Although Junin needs excellent command ability and stronger personal strength. But because of the spiritualization technique you have mastered, Uchiha Hitomi, you can skip the selection stage and be promoted to Jonin after completing the mission directly. The souls of these four Ziyuan are dozens of times stronger than ordinary ninjas, and they once commented on Yuan as the most powerful user of the spiritualization technique since the establishment of Konoha village. Yuan was not interested in the olive branch thrown at him. There is no free lunch in the world. Sure enough, Mitomen said slowly and methodically. If possible, I personally hope that you can join this final battle against Union as a secret weapon. So we don't want you to expose the spiritualization technique in the Jonin selection. Of course, you can choose to refuse. Yuan's employment agency is only Chunin, and his resume does not show his superb attainments in other ninjutsu. Because of this, the four who intend to use Yuan as a secret weapon are not optimistic about Yuan passing the JNIN selection at all. That is to say, I don't need to participate in the initial selection of Jonin. As long as I join the battlefield against Union to complete the task and survive, I can be promoted to Jonin. Yuan asked. Uchiha's ninja, it's okay for you to understand this way. Zhuanzu Shaochun said. Yuan laughed in his heart. Ninjas often call themselves tools, but whose tools are they? A tool to enforce the will of fire? A tool to protect the hidden village? Or is it the tool of the four in front of you? Yuan could refuse this Jonin selection, but he didn't think it was necessary. Jonin status allows him to carry out missions outside Konoha Hidden Village on his own. I can use my strength to fight for it, and I don't need the unwarranted charity of these four. What's more, Yuan has his own plan, as for becoming a so-called secret weapon. Ha ha, Yuan pondered for a while. Hokage-sama, rules are rules. If exceptions always exist, why do we need rules? As a ninja of the Uchiha clan, I will participate in the JNIN selection according to the procedure. Listening to Yuan's neither humble nor overbearing reply, the four of them exchanged glances. Okay, I see, you can back down. When Yuan left, he went to sleep and said to Shaochun. Uchiha's ninjas are still as unruly as ever. The current Uchiha lacks ninjas like mirrors, which is a threat to us that we cannot communicate normally. Danzo's right eye moved slightly under the bandage, and his voice was hoarse. I think it's better to send Orochimaru to the front line of Union. Mitomen Yan suggested. It's a method that can be considered. As long as the strategic goal is achieved, Union Village can be forced to negotiate peace with us. Hiruzuru Sarutobi made a conclusion. The day of the Jonin selection test will come soon. The auditorium in the venue was full of ninjas and Konoha people from all major ninja clans. To some extent, the open JNIN selection is a means to show their strength to their own family members and improve the confidence of ninjas and the public. At this time, Fuchi stayed in the corner of the lounge with Shisui, Takashi, Uchiha Tetsuhiro and other members of the police force who had the qualifications for selection. See him, Uchiha Tiehuo pointed to the wide-faced ninja with his hands in his pockets in the center of the training room. He was lowering his head and talking to the female ninja with red circle eyes in a low voice. Sarutobi Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi, the son of the third Hokage, also came to participate in the Chunin selection. It seems that his old man is really fair. Tiehuo's yin and yang strange chi wei. Yuan has an impression of Asuma Sarutobi. This later Konoha Jonin is quite capable, but he is far behind Kakashi and Kai. The identity of our police force is inherently sensitive, so Taihuo should not talk nonsense. Zishui advised. Regarding this, Taihuo relaxed his shoulders and shut up wisely. Just then, there was a commotion ahead. A group of Anbu ninjas pushed open the door of the lounge, and placed a closed basket of numbered balls in front of everyone. Silver-haired Anbu Kakashi announced, "In this Jonin selection, the two who have drawn the same ball number will be opponents. Now please line up and start the lottery." Behind Kakashi, several Anbu ninjas stared at the lottery team. No one knows what ball number will be drawn, nor who the opponent will be. From the moment the lottery was announced, the Jonin primary election has already started. What is tested is intelligence collection and protection capabilities, as well as tactical preparations based on this. And the examiners are these Anbu. Yuan thought quickly in his heart. In most cases, ninjas will form teams to complete tasks. But when encountering extremely difficult tasks above a level, the rest of the team are often Junin. Therefore, in addition to excellent leadership and outstanding strength, the criteria for selecting Jonin also require the expertise of observing, collecting and protecting intelligence. Fortunately, there are Chunin in the lounge, and most of them have participated in the Third War. At first, there were people whispering to each other, but soon most of the Chunin realized that the selection had begun. Unknowingly, the atmosphere in the whole lounge became serious. Although the faces of the Chunin are full of confidence, they don't care much. But they have been secretly paying attention to the direction of the number box, trying to write down useful information, so as to know their opponents in advance and formulate countermeasures. For ninjas who draw numbered balls in advance, how to prevent leakage or induce opponents to misunderstand their own number plates is very critical. I have drawn the number 2 ball, who will my opponent be? The Chunin at the front of the line yelled loudly. Seeing everyone staring at him like an idiot, the Chunin realized that he had leaked very important information. He thumped the ground and wailed remorsefully on the spot, and even Madokai, who was at the side, looked at him pitifully. Facing this little commotion, Anbu Ninja just emphasized order and signaled that the draw would continue. The team moved forward slowly, and soon it would be Yuan's turn. At this moment, Yuan felt someone poke his lower back. Warm breath with soft words, blowing from the back of the ear. Yuanjin, do you want to know who your opponent is? I can help. Yuan didn't need to look back to know it was Ling. For Ling with white eyes, this kind of black box touch is no different from the transparent one. Ling, if you help him, you might as well help me. Hongdu said, dissatisfied on the side. She was one of the youngest of all the Chunin candidates, and she felt the pressure only when she arrived at the scene. You two should stop arguing. Teacher Zion allowed you to participate, probably because he has the mentality of letting you learn a lot. Just enjoy the process. Seeing that Ling and Hongdu were more serious than herself, Yuan knew that after chatting, they had already made up their minds. However, it was related to their personal will, and Yuan could not interfere too much. While speaking, Yuan pulled the part of the number toward his palm and pulled out the number ball. HMPH. It's so easy to say. Mr. Yuan, don't lose and cry when the time comes. Rarely, Ling ran on Yuan, and then groped in the box for a while with a smile to take out the numbered ball. When it was Hongdu's turn, Yuan caught a glimpse of the numbered ball that the little junior sister got was the same number as his own. In other words, he and Hongdu were opponents in the first round. Seeing Hongdu talking innocently to the smiling Ling, Yuan felt a moment of silence for his little junior sister. Soon the whole extraction process is over. Those Chunin who did not have the awareness of hiding number balls, and were even unwilling to take the initiative to obtain information about other ninjas were invited out of the waiting room by Anbu. They lost their qualifications to continue participating in the Jonin primary election. Ninjas with unique numbered balls will be matched randomly. Ninjas with the same ball number are rivals. Now please follow the notice and enter the ring in an orderly manner. The winner will be qualified for the second round of the Chunin primary election. After Kakashi finished reading, the Chunin primary election officially began. The auditorium is full of people. Uchiha Fugaku, Hinata Hijuru and other ninja patriarchs brought their descendants to watch. For them, the number of ninjas they hold means to some extent the status of the ninja clan in the ninja village, which is related to the rise and fall of the clan. Although the other ninja chiefs in the audience had no similar thoughts, they were also quite concerned about this selection. As for those left in the auditorium, they were ordinary ninjas and ordinary villagers from Konoha. It is also a novel experience for them to watch the selection of Murakami Shinobi up close. As for how much Konoha's strength everyone can feel from this selection, it's a matter of opinion. In the ring, Madokai is fighting a Chuninjutsu whose face he can't remember. His every move is fierce and powerful, which is exactly the style of Steel Fist in Konoha body art. Yuan in the audience watched with relish. In fact, with Yuan's strength, the Chunin primary battle lacks notable ninjas. The only thing he paid attention to was Madokai as the examinee and Kakashi, the invigilator. These two can be said to be the pillars of Konoha Shangren. In the current timeline, Madokai's 8 doors Dunjia formation is still being tempered hard, and Kakashi's left eyes, Kamui, is still not realized by him. Yuan is also very curious about the upper limit of the 8-door Dunjia formation, if it can be opened without injury. After all, Kei almost kicked out Hokage's ending ahead of schedule with the 8 doors Dunjia formation. And Kakashi's left eye's Kamui is connected to the autistic space where Obito is. If this time period, the Scarecrow, knows that his best friend has completely betrayed and fallen, will he be completely disappointed in the ninja system? No longer be a tool person who can only obey orders and has no emotions? Following the thought, Yuan thought of the soul of Namikaze Minato in the death mask. Perhaps when the teacher-student trio meet again, they will have an equally interesting collision. That was a rare joy. Being able to think quickly while observing the battle is not because Yuan's brain is so agile. There are also factors that in the primary election, there are not many Chunin who show their true strength. Even Madokai just used the conventional steel boxing technique, quickly ended the fight and was qualified to enter the next round. On the ring stage, after winning, Kai enthusiastically gave a thumbs up to the audience, showing a mouthful of shining white teeth. It seems to have the momentum of a kung fu superstar. Under the stage, Yuan has already saved Kai's battle data into the illusion space. Perhaps, this kind of statement is not appropriate, but as Kai's combat data gradually improves, Yuan felt that the 8 gates of Dunjia, which has no complicated moves, is likely to manifest in the illusion space. While Yuan was examining Kai's statistics, the referee announced the start of the second round. Second match, Asma Sarutobi vs Red. Asma Sarutobi wins. Looking at the ring, there were 2 people with a dejected face and a soft voice comforting them. Everyone in the audience couldn't help but get goosebumps all over their bodies. As a ninja, it is a consensus to restrain one's emotions, but the son of the 3rd Hokage seems to be very stylish. Regardless of the referee's dismissal, he spoke softly in front of everyone to comfort him. The 3rd. Soon it was Yuan's turn, and opposite him, Hongdu jumped onto the ring. Her face was reddish, but her eyes were very bright. It was the first time for Hongdu, who has been doing scientific research tasks in the laboratory all year round, to fight under the attention of so many people. The disdainful face of the senior brother on the opposite side made people want to punch him. At this moment, while Hongdu was nervous, her confidence kept skyrocketing. After all, beating Uchiha Hitomi in front of so many people, sweeping past defeat records, just thinking about it is very prestige and relief. Then, Hongdu, who didn't faint in the next second and sprinted forward, fell headlong to the ground. Maybe it was because she charged too hard, and she fell so hard that there were stars in her eyes. Yuan sighed, picked up the kunai on the ground, and pointed at the red beans. Junior sister, you are not very good. If you are on the battlefield, you will be gone. If you are so good at eating, the enemy may be afraid that you will be poor and will attack you to death. Being restrained by Yuan, Hongdu finally regained consciousness. This is not the usual fight between brothers and sisters. If it was on the battlefield, she would have died in the hands of the enemy. But these are not the key points, and it is too fast for him to lose. Just now, Hongdu's eyes seemed to catch something, but she didn't realize what it was at all. In this regard, Yuan can only comment on the lack of combat experience of his junior sister. In the spectator seats, the shouts of cheers and encouragement came to an abrupt end. Except for Fuyu, Quan, Itachi, etc., ninjas who know the level of Fuchi Shuriken can see some clues. Other viewers are still wondering why the battle ended so quickly. In fact, Yuan's technique was not very superb, he just took advantage of Hongdu's attention on himself. The kunai that fell from the remote control was stuck in front of Anko's left foot. Facing the counterattack from the dead corner of the field of vision, Hongdu did not react in time and fell into a hungry dog gnawing shit. Following the referee's announcement, Hongdu officially announced that she was disqualified from being selected for the JNIN selection and did not have to go to the battlefield. What can the tearful Red Bean complain about? The gap is too big, and it is a fact that the skills are not as good as others. After Yuan and Hongdu's crisp battle, the first round of selection officially ended within a few games, and the Jonin primary selection entered the second round. Yuan took a look and saw that there were a total of 40 Chunin who had been promoted, among which Zishui, Long, Tiehuo and others from the police force were successfully promoted. They seemed to be very relaxed. After all, the general ninja is not a threat to Uchiha who has the Sengoyu Sharingan at all. In addition, Hyuga Ling and the Hyuga clan ninjas who Sanwei Yuan didn't know advanced. The advanced ninjas of other ninja clans add up to only a little over 10. The rest of the places will be obtained by commoner ninjas such as Madokai, Shenyu Izumo, and Gang Ziti. It can be seen that apart from Uchiha and the Hyuga clan who have a positive attitude towards the JNIN selection this time, the other ninja clans are not very interested. Even the Sarutobi clan where the third Hokage belonged was only Asuma and a ninja that Yuan didn't know to advance. Soon, the second round of Jonin primary selection group arena was announced. After the number balls are redistributed by the ninjas of Anbu, they still follow the rules of Chunin confrontation with the same number. The winner will go to the Konoha Union Frontline, and be promoted to Jonin after completing the task. Facing this round, everyone in the police force is serious. The first match of the second round of selection was Takashi vs. Sarutobi Asuma. Like Tiehuo, Ryu couldn't get used to this ninja who thought he had a style. But Asuma Sarutobi is the son of the third Hokage after all, and Takashi is very interested in what kind of strength he is. Immediately on the ring, Long became serious. On the other hand, Asuma Sarutobi comforted the defeated Hong with a few words, and then he walked to the ring without any haste. Realizing that the opponent was Uchiha, Sarutobi Asuma became serious. Seeing this, Long, who was anxious to wait, took the initiative to ask the referee, "Can we start?" After being affirmed, in the blink of an eye, Takashi had already moved behind Sarutobi Asuma. With Sharingan, he has no fear of fighting Chunin at all. Ryu swung the knife in his hand wrapped in strong wind towards Asuma's neck. To the latter, failure was humiliation. The seal of fire escape flame bullet in Asuma Sarutobi's hand was only half finished. A total of 4 seals, inherited by the Sarutobi family. Aware of the crisis behind him, he could only be forced to give up the seal and try to escape with an instant body. However, Ryu's knife still hit Sarutobi Asuma's shoulder firmly. Rolling forward to counteract the force, Asuma Sarutobi stood up again with a serious expression. He looked at Yu Hahong under the stage, and pointed at Long. "Uchiha's ninja, I will make you regret it." While talking, Asuma Sarutobi completed the hand seal. Fire escape ash accumulation. The soot made of chakra blinded Long's vision, and soon the ash cloud exploded into a crimson flame. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Asuma Sarutobi completed the wind escape ninjutsu seal. As two ninjas who are also good at fire escape, Uchiha and Sarutobi can be said to have overlapped since the Warring States period. Each has its own ninjutsu combination against the other. But before Asuma Sarutobi could use the wind escape ninjutsu, Takashi was already diagonally above Asuma Sarutobi in an instant. The seal of fire escape How Fireball was completed first, and it was sprayed out with one mouthful of Long. The fiery fireball quickly attacked Asuma Sarutobi on the ring. Chapter 91. At the time point of more than half a year after the end of Nine Tails Night, Gundam tactics such as Susa, Big Buddha, and Tailed Beast have not yet been talked about by ninjas. At this time, ninja battles pay more attention to the use of intelligence and timing. Therefore, Takashi, who appeared obliquely above Asuma Sarutobi's field of vision, was seeking his own death. He was in midair and couldn't teleport in a short time, even if the fire escape ninjutsu used by Long could restrain the wind escape ninjutsu in attributes. But from Asuma's point of view, as long as he successfully releases the wind escape ninjutsu to expand the damage range of the fire escape. After leaving in an instant, Ryu, who cannot move, will suffer ninjutsu damage. A coping strategy quickly formed in Asuma's mind, as long as she continued to release the wind escape ninjutsu. But in the next second behind Asuma, Long's body appeared in an instant. Long is the shadow clone who released the fire escape ninjutsu in the air. Furious fighting intent was burning like a raging flame. Ryu just casually punched Asuma on the chin and interrupted the opponent's wind escape ninjutsu. Immediately afterwards, he grabbed Asuma's shoulder and threw it in the air. Before the terrified Asuma was hit by the fireball, the Anbu ninja arrived in an instant and took Asuma away quickly and neatly. Uchiha Takashi vs Sarutobi Asuma. Uchiha Takashi wins. With the intervention of off-court factors, the result of the outcome is clear at a glance, and the referee is very straightforward. Uchiha Takashi's face was full of bad luck, and he was playing well when he was suddenly interrupted. The members of the police force, Zishui and Tiehuo, watched the whole battle with Sharingan. At this moment, they were quickly reminiscing about the key details of the battle. Yuan felt that Asuma's ninjutsu skills were good, and it was only a matter of time before she became a Jonin with a little training. But when it comes to the amount and application of chakra, and even the battle quotient and combat experience, Asuma is much worse than Long. Long turned back in an instant. Team leader, when Long, who was originally fighting high, stood in front of Yuan, his aura subsided. In this actual battle, Long really realized what his greatly increased instantaneous speed and ninjutsu power meant. Facing Yuan's cultivation, Long felt more and more in awe while being grateful. Seeing Yuan nodded, he laughed and talked to the members of the police force and began to make trouble. I didn't expect that guy to be so weak. I didn't even use the specially prepared ninjutsu, so he fell down. Taihuo folded his arms and echoed, speaking in a disdainful tone. Son of Hokage, that's all. But seeing Zishui staring at him again, Tiehuo immediately shut up. Yuan took advantage of this moment to digitize Asuma's battle and record it in the illusion space. It wasn't until this time that deafening shouts erupted from the auditorium. The battle of ninjas decides life and death between lightning and flint, which is quite exciting. Looking back, ordinary villagers were excited. Instead, those knowledgeable ninjas in the auditorium frequently looked at Uchiha Fugaku. Recently, they have heard rumors that the police force has strengthened their training. But they have never heard of Uchiha Long. But Asuma Sarutobi is the son of the third Hokage, and his family heritage should not be underestimated. When did the background of the Uchiha clan become so profound? The knowledgeable ninjas looked curiously at Kiwan, Shishui and other members of the police force who participated in the selection. It can be seen that Long is not the most powerful among them. At this moment, the referee announced loudly. Second match, Hinata Ryo vs. Uchiha Yuan. At the same time, Naruto room. Hiruzuru Sarutobi was immersed in studying the battle reports sent from the front. Having the same idea as Muyeon Village, Union Village also wants to end the fierce battle that has lasted for many years. It's just that in this final battle, the two ninja villages at the same time believe that they must win a beautiful victory. After all, this can determine the issue of compensation after the war. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was so worried about this matter that his hair was turning gray, naturally didn't have time to pay attention to the Jonin primary election. At this time, he was studying the battle report alone, and planned to discuss the war plan with his advisors and assistants later. Danzo stepped into the Naruto room. Rizan, do you still remember the incident where the death mask was stolen? I found out some clues about this matter. It may be related to the Uchiha clan. At the beginning, Sarutobi Hiruzen suspected that Danzo did it secretly, and directly took away the wooden ninja cultivated by the other party in private. Hearing Uchiha, Hiruzuru Sarutobi, who didn't want to talk to him, raised his head in confusion. The Uchiha clan has long been removed from the trust list by him. Tell me, I have a subordinate who is good at perception, and he found the wooden escape cell from the Uchiha Chunin who participated in the selection. Reason, you should still remember how confused our Mutun cell experiment failed. Whether it's the huge amount of chakra, the exuberant vitality or the wood escape blood succession. The experimental subjects we have prepared cannot be inherited at all. When Danzang said this, he pondered for a while. But Uchiha seems to have found a way to subdue Mutun cells. Hiruzuru Sarutobi knew that the old buddy would never tell information without a source. But this thing sounds ridiculous. Uchiha, who is full of fighting thoughts, subdues Mutun cells. At this moment, an Anbu came with Asuma Sarutobi in an instant. Seeing Danzo present, he temporarily changed his words. Master Hokage, the second round of Chunin selection has begun. This Anbu's name is Sarutobi Shinosuke, the eldest son of the third Hokage. Other authors of the second set of the same person directly used it. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at the dejected Asuma, and sighed inwardly. How was the first battle going? Uchiha Takashi wins easily. Hiruzuru Sarutobi looked at the depressed Asuma again. Although my youngest son is not up to the mark, he has honed his ninjutsu skills since he was a child. Although not a genius, how could he easily lose to Uchiha Bolong, whom he has never heard of? He glanced at Danzo, and instructed his two sons. I will go to the scene to watch, you all go back first. When Shinosuke left with Asuma, Hiruzuru Sarutobi took out his pipe and looked at Danzo. Tell me, why do you think the theft of the death mask is related to the Uchiha clan? A week ago, the four old guys rummaged through ancient books and came to the conclusion that the fourth Hokage might have left half of the 9 tails in the death mask. Hiruzen, the second Hokage entrusted us with the huge Konoha hidden village on his deathbed. You, Xiaochun, Yan and I are in charge of different things. Most of Toikuma-sama's research materials are backed up by me. Would you believe it if I told you that 9 tails chakra can activate Mutun cells? Hiruzuru Sarutobi thought silently while clicking on his pipe. Assuming that the Uchiha clan thieves called to catch the thief and stole the death mask, even if they mastered the solution to undo the ghoul seal, there would be no disturbance in the clan. Thinking of this, Hiruzuru Sarutobi narrowed his eyes slightly. A few days ago, Anbu presented information about Tango country. A gigantic golden creature smashes through Primorsky caldera. Looking at the description, it is Susanoo that can only be used by kaleidoscope Sharingan. Hiruzuru Sarutobi spewed out a puff of white smoke. Danzo, if the Uchiha clan did it, how should we treat them? Danzo's face was expressionless, and his hand cut through the air. Any factors that are not conducive to the village or him must be eradicated. Facing the old man's stern attitude, Hiruzuru Sarutobi took 2 gulps in frustration. Homework. The current Konoha simply cannot withstand civil strife. I will send someone to investigate clearly. Of course, we must also make full preparations. Danzo snorted. Reason, you are too naive. In my opinion, the battlefield of Dui Union is the grave of those war lunatics. Hearing this, the third Hokage said in displeasure. Danzo, as I said, I will investigate clearly. Since snatching away Danzo's hidden wooden ninja, Hiruzuru Sarutobi has become more confident in facing Danzo. At the scene of the group arena, the battle between Yuan and Ling is going on without fire. After studying the soft boxing secrets delivered by Ling. Although Yuan said that he could not perform soft fist without bloody eyes, but he knew the principles and techniques better than Ling. At this time, Ling, the veins around her beautiful white eyes are bulging, and she disassembles her body with the deep body technique. Ling tried to push the chakra between her fingers into Yuan's acupuncture points to restrict his movements and win the group arena. After all, the Konoha Union battlefield is extremely dangerous. Ling remembered that Yuan had promised himself that maybe one day he would take her away from Hinata and Konoha. Before this promise is fulfilled, Ling doesn't want to put Yuan in danger. At least he still has the protection of his clansmen, but what about him? But the gap in strength is desperate. Although the patriarch of the Hyuga clan, Hazuzu, praised Ling's soft fist attainments, saying that she was among the best among the younger generation. But after the actual battle, Ling really realized how much strength the Yuan she was familiar with had hidden. Every attack he made was avoided by Yuan just right. Not to mention driving chakra into Yuan's acupuncture points to hinder his movement, it is even difficult to touch Yuan's body. Ling, I remember you can release chakra from the acupuncture points all over your body. Can't you hurt me if you can't hit me? Examining Ling's state, Yuan followed the words in a persuasive way. Back to the days. Guiding Ling to master Huishan is one of Yuan's goals in this battle. Dodging Ling's chakra knife on the shoulder, Yuan suddenly grabbed Ling's wrist and pulled hard. By virtue of inertia, the chakra released by Ling through the acupuncture points on her hands formed a dark blue ring. Release chakra from acupuncture points all over the body. If Ling Ruo realized something, she looked at Yuan with burning eyes. Then, just as Yuan said, she controlled the balance and let her body rotate at a high speed. The faint blue chakra gradually forms a high-speed rotating round curtain around the body. Faced with this scene, Yuan applauded Ling's talent, and then he watched as Ling couldn't control the spin, fell off the ring and smashed into a deep pit with a radius of more than 2 meters. Hyuga Ryo vs. Uchiha Yuan wins. The referee announced in due course. In the auditorium, Hinata lifted his eyes. Just now, Ling, who is a branch of the Hinata family, used the main family's unique skill, recovery. Although it was short, Hyuga Hyuzu could not be mistaken, but after all, he couldn't hear what Yuan said to Ling. Glancing at Uchiha's young clansman who won in the ring, Hinata looked at Uchiha Fugaku with complicated eyes. As the patriarch, he is in a similar situation to Fuyu, but he is more obedient than Fuyu in character. Do the Uchiha clan have their own ideas after all? Feeling the strong man's sizing up, Fugaku folded his arms and turned his head to look at Hijiro and nodded. The patriarchs of the two blood successor clans met their eyes just like that. They didn't notice that Yuan, who was standing on the ring, was looking at them calmly. As the battle between Yuan and Ling ended in a joyful way, the second round of selection is in full swing. During this period, Yuan digitized the battles of all participating Chunin in the second round and entered them into the illusion space. Compared with the big guys in the first round who hid and tucked their style of play, the Chunin who entered the second round more or less showed some real skills. However, this is nothing to Uchiha, who has the inner armor between the pillars and has opened the three-hook jade. Soon, the second round of Chunin selection will end. The ordinary villagers in Konoha watched happily and left the scene with high spirits. They thought to themselves, with such a powerful ninja protecting the village, what else is there to worry about? Just work and live with peace of mind. The major ninja clans and civilian ninjas are not at ease. This Chunin primary election is a signal that the top management is eager to end the Konoha Union front. But can this really be achieved smoothly? In the waiting room, the ninjas who won the second round were called together by Anbu. Wearing a Hokage robe, Hiruzuru Sarutobi appeared in front of everyone with a serious expression. At a glance, he saw that in the 20 or so victories of the Chunin, the Uchiha clan had a full 6 promotions, and the Hyuga clan had only 2. Except for Madokai and the 4 civilian ninjas, the remaining places are divided among other ninjas. Thinking about it this way, Asuma didn't complain about losing. At this time, the village needs Uchiha's help. Everyone, congratulations on your qualification to be promoted to Jonin. This old man is very optimistic about your future. I believe that under the guidance of the will of fire, we will definitely win the final victory of this war. After Hiruzuru Sarutobi boosted morale, Danzo appeared on the stage and began to introduce the Konoha Kunyon frontline dynamics to the Chunin. Yuan watched from the side. By the way, there is also relevant information circulating within the police force, but compared to Konoha Onbi who specializes in intelligence, the level of detail and authenticity are still far behind. Generally speaking, the country of fire where Konoha is located and the country of thunder where Union is located are not neighboring countries. Between the lands of the two countries, there is a buffer zone formed by the country of Tien, the country of the moon, and the neutral country of Tang. The Konoha Union front is distributed among these 3 small countries. Among them, Yuan is more concerned about the front of the Kingdom of the Moon. Although in the Tien country near Konoha, Yunyin gradually eroded Konoha's military power. But in the Kingdom of the Moon, which is closer to the Kingdom of Thunder, Konoha steadily suppressed the Union ninja army. Yuan believes that the key to this war lies in who can clear up the enemy forces in neighboring countries faster. This is also the last link related to his promotion to Jonin. Sure enough, Danzo began to assign tasks after a brief analysis of the situation on the front line. Shisui, Tiehuo, Zhu Mu and Li Xuan, a total of 4 Uchiha Chunin were sent to the front line of the Moon Country. Acting with them are the victorious Chunin of other ninja races. Fuchi, Takashi, and the 2 Chunin and Kai of the Hyuga clan were sent to the front line of Tanokuni. The mission goals of the 2 groups of people are different. Danzo did not introduce the specific details, and he asked the Chunin to obey the orders of the accompanying Anbu. Departure time is set at noon tomorrow. Hearing that it was less than a day before going to the battlefield, the Chunin were calm, nervous, and excited. They all planned to take care of their concerns within this day, and many of them made up their minds that they would not be able to come back. This is the fate of ninjas in most cases. After leaving the group arena, Yuan first went to the laboratory. Research on the genetic level is not going well these days. After all, this is a brand new field, and it is an unknown challenge for the Orochimaru class. In the laboratory, it was as quiet as ever. Ling and Hongdu were crushed in Yuan's hands not long ago, and they were still undergoing physical examinations at Konoha Hospital. Only Kurama Zion was there. Seeing Yuan lie, the substitute teacher smiled happily but couldn't hide the gloomy eyes. She told Yuan that her teacher Orochimaru would also go to the Konoha Union front line. Yuan is not surprised. Konoha's high-level arrangements for Orochimaru. After all, he stayed in the country of the sea just to do experiments every day, and occasionally to guard against Kurigakure. Of course, the accidental disappearance of the ninjas of the Kurigakure family, is it related to Mr. Orochimaru? Yuan thinks the answer is yes. Soon, Yuan and Zion finished discussing the plan for future genetic experiments. In the laboratory, there was a sudden silence. Pommel horse Zion looked at Yuan with eyes like water. So, you'll definitely be back, right? Yuan nodded. HMPH. Mr. Yuan is too cold. Pommel horse Zion pushed back the black hair on his forehead, leaned over and pecked at it. After a long time, the blushing Zion looked into Yuan's eyes with burning eyes. This time I took the initiative. When you come back, I will replace you. Yuan naturally had no reason to refuse the warm invitation from the substitute teacher. After leaving the laboratory, Yuan returned to the clan area and told Grandma Obito and Quan that he was about to go to the front line. The old man was very worried. In her perception, her grandson Obito died on the battlefield. But Yuan, the grandson, is more reliable than Obito. She can only remind Yuan that she wants to hug her lovely great-grandson when she gets old. So Quan is not worried about his brother at all. She knew that her elder brother was the most powerful ninja of the Uchiha clan. Returning from the battlefield is only a matter of time. Quan's performance reassured Yuan a lot, and the 7-year-old girl became more mature and rational. After Yuan and Grandma had dinner with their younger sister, Ling and Hongdu came to the door hand in hand. In the smoky wind of a midsummer night, the street lamps cast a pink-white halo. Hongdu talked about the past while walking. At that time, the few people who had just entered the Orochimaru class were still young. Red Bean thought. Relying on her teacher Orochimaru to raise herself as her own daughter, Hongdu was very domineering during that time. It can be said that it was her highlight period in Orochimaru's class. Then, she was taught by Ling and Yuan successively. Later, the only little junior sister is a true portrayal of her status in the Orochimaru class. Hongdu didn't know why he said this suddenly. If the big guys went to the front line to perform missions together, then she must be preparing ninja tools and detonating charms now. But the reality is not, only that full brother is going to take risks. Ling also became silent amidst the chatter of her junior sister. Yuan just listened quietly. Hongdu and Ling were just girls in their teens. Although you need to be more mature mentally, you will always encounter emotional problems that you cannot understand. At this time, Yuan didn't want to be interrupted by joking or take the initiative to talk about the serious battlefield. It's nice to take a quiet walk like this. But the road has an end after all, under the street lamp on the edge of the village. Insects are dormant, and stars are shining brightly. After talking for a long time, Hongdu felt hungry, so she took out the dry food specially prepared for Yuan and shared it. Yuan felt that the taste of the red beans was quite good, but the dry food was delicious, so it didn't make him hungry at all. There is no time for snacks on the battlefield. After filling their stomachs, the three parted ways. After walking a few steps, Ling suddenly turned around and handed Yuan a medical kit with an amulet in it. I know Mr. Yi Yuan's strength, you may not need this medical kit. But I heard from the elders that the situation on the battlefield is very complicated. If Yuan-kun encounters an emergency, the ninjas of the Hinata family can also be relied on. Of course, I will remember what Ling Yu said. The conversation between the two was brief, and neither seemed to want to touch the valve of emotion. It was already 10 o'clock in the evening when Yuan returned to the clan. Obito's grandma was a little surprised that her godson came back so early. Quan was seriously reviewing his homework, and stopped pestering Yuan to learn ninjutsu. After handing over the training plan for the next half-month to Quan, Yuan returned to the bedroom. At midnight, when the sound of breathing in other rooms became even, Yuan lying on the bed suddenly disappeared. Outside Shuimei village, Phaeacian laboratory. The old baboon fairy is serving a grilled fish with fire escape. In the past few decades, if the laboratory was not connected to the underground river, it would have starved to death. Seeing Yuan came back, the baboon old fairy threw away the grilled fish, looking expectant. How is the illusion I taught you? Yuan asked. The basic illusion of the Kurama family to confuse the five senses can be performed without blood successors. So, it works. The baboon old fairy blinked. During this period of time, Yuan can only communicate with the old baboon in the laboratory by writing, which is very troublesome. He simply used illusion disruption to improve the intracranial nerve conflict of the baboon old fairy. Made the elderly baboon barely able to speak short sentences. Use it to see. Checking the progress of the baboon old fairy's cultivation, Yuan made plans for the Phaeacian laboratory. After all, to go to the Konoha Union front line, it is not reliable to leave a shadow clone to protect the laboratory. Yuan specially arranged for the baboon old fairy to learn illusion, just to guard against the villagers who entered the mountain and the root ninja who occasionally came to investigate. Fortunately, with the blessing of fairy art, the effect of the old baboon's illusion exceeded Yuan's expectations. After delivering the jerky as a reward to the old baboon, Yuan casts a spirit spell. Who disturbed my sleep? Don't want to live anymore. Meow. A large white cat with a forked tail appears in the lab. This is the ninja cat boss, the two-tailed cat, who has a lot of wealth and connections in the ninja cat clan affiliated to the Uchiha clan. There was an intersection with the later Naruto Sakura protagonist trio. Seeing Shiyuan, the two-tailed cat said in a bad tone. Little ghost, didn't you say that you want to see this cat? Just go to the cat's mansion in the ruined empty area and find me. Meow. What are you going to do when you specially summon me? Meow. Yuan put a box of banknotes obtained from the patriarch Fuyu in front of the two-tailed cat. This list is the experimental equipment I need, and it can be done with your contacts. The experimental instruments for studying the genetic level are more complicated, and the Tokama laboratory also needs to be innovated. Two-tailed cat stroked his whiskers to check the list. You don't need so much, anyway, you are a regular customer. I can convince those guys to give you a discount. Meow. That's fine, the rest of the money will be deposited with you first. Seeing that Yuan didn't give any more instructions, the two-tailed cat looked at the baboon old fairy with a strange smell, and then left voluntarily. After Yuan explained some key matters to the baboon old fairy, he left the lab. In the kingdom of the moon, the noon sun scorched the earth. In the dirty pool, mosquitoes linger. Under the leadership of Kakashi and the other two Anbu, Yuan and other Chunin quickly rushed to the destination of Chushing Town. Although according to the plan of Elder Danzo, the team of Yuan and others will go to Tianji country. But after leaving the village, all the victorious Chunin must obey the arrangement of Anbu headed by Kakashi. The real destination of Yuan and others is the kingdom of the moon. As for whether to exchange destinations with another wave of Chunin, Anbu did not disclose. The stronghold outside Chuixing town is the command center of Konoha Hidden Village in the Kingdom of the Moon. In the tent that blends in with the surrounding environment, Nara Shikahisa is looking at the strategic map. Chu Dao Ding, who was munching on dry food, walked back and forth restlessly. Lu Ju, is the information that Yun Yin sent the two-tailed Jinchuriki to infiltrate into the Kingdom of the Moon reliable? Our tribe can't consume any more. In the rest tent outside the command tent, the ninjas of the deer and butterfly clans, who were pale and wounded, were waiting anxiously. Medical ninjas come and go and are doing emergency treatment for them. Whether the two-tailed Jinchuriki will arrive is unknown. But our reinforcements are coming soon. Ding Zuo, be more patient. Shikahisa Nara said so. The kingdom of the moon bordering the kingdom of thunder is mountainous, with uneven terrain. It is said that standing on the highest mountain in the kingdom of the moon, you can touch the moon in the sky by raising your hand. Yuan also doesn't quite understand why the Jonin promotion team that was originally sent to Tianji country went to Moon country temporarily. He thinks it has something to do with the summoning of the 4 high-level officials before the Jonin selection. This reminds Yuan of the mission of the Kingdom of the Sea. But the person I am now is not the same person I was then. Outside Chuxingxing town, Kakashi waved his hand to signal the team to pause. There was a faint smell of blood in the air, although it was already very close to Konoha's command camp in the Kingdom of the Moon. Leading the team, Kakashi cautiously dispersed the team. Following his gesture, the Chunin spread out in groups of 2. Fuchi, Takashi, and 2 victorious Chunin from the Hyuga clan lurk under a stone bridge. Are you Uchiha Yuan? Ling told us that you will be a reliable teammate on the battlefield. Jian Yuan nodded. Hinata ninja with thick eyebrows introduced himself. My name is Hinata Mori, and this is Hinata Seichi, a friend of the same family. Hinata Seichi had a typical Hinata handsome face, and he just nodded indifferently when he introduced his friends of the same clan. Immediately afterwards, Long introduced himself to the other party. In Konoha Hidden Village, due to various reasons, Uchiha has limited communication with Hinata. But on the battlefield, ninjas are all comrades in arms regardless of each other. After Long briefly introduced himself, several people discussed the abnormal situation around them. Bai Yan has a unique advantage in the field of investigation, and Hinata Mori shares the information he discovered. There is a dense chakra reaction outside the radius of 4 kilometers from Chuxingxing town. If you read correctly, Union's ninja troops have surrounded our command center. Hyuga Mori calmly analyzed. After learning the information, only Long was a little surprised among the 4 present. Yuan had already quietly used the technique of spiritualization to investigate. The Union ninjas surrounding the command center are generally at the Chunin level. Among the 6 J ninjas leading the team, the golem fragments responded to one of them. It should be the blood-successful ninja of Union Village. Anbu arranged for us to stand by on the spot, probably intending to disrupt the opponent's attack rhythm after Union ninja's action. Just as Long Gang stated his analysis, in the wilderness outside Shuixing town, nearly 100 ninjas wearing Union forehead protection attacked the command center. At the same time, Fuchi, Takashi, and the 2 ninjas of the Hinata family heard the assembly signal issued by the Anbu ninja. When they arrived, Kakashi and the other 2 Anbu placed several corpses wearing Union's forehead in front of everyone. This is your first task before being promoted to Jonin. Try your best to severely damage Union's Jonin. The task is only voluntary, and the rest will follow my Anbu partner to help the besieged Konoha ninja. After issuing the order, Kakashi took the lead in performing the transformation technique according to the appearance of a cloud-hidden ninja corpse. In fact, in the chaotic battlefield, if the information is not transmitted in time, it is easy to cause misunderstanding and the risk is extremely high if you rashly transform into an enemy ninja. But following expediency, blindly following the rules and even losing his life, everything is for nothing. Yuan picked a corpse to perform the transformation technique, took over the information from Kakashi, and it was convenient for him to act alone. On the contrary, Hinata's 2 branch ninjas took the initiative to go to Kakashi's Anbu partner. They were good at scouting and didn't intend to take risks. Those 2 Anbu were blocking the unconvinced Akai. Why can't I go if Kakashi can go? My explosive power is terrible. Assassination or something is not a problem at all. The 2 Anbu thought to themselves, the name of your move has been yelled out, how can Yunyan not know what's going on? Akai, you should honestly support the command center. After Yuan and Kakashi transformed, several civilian ninjas who were enlightened and cared for the village came out and performed transformation one after another. After a quick study of the enemy's intelligence, the beheading squad quickly dispersed. Yuan unhurriedly blended into Union's attacking ninja army. After studying the information, he already knew that the target was Troy, the blood-successful ninja of Union. But the trouble is, in Yuan's induction, there is an unusually familiar cold chakra lurking near Troy. Orochimaru, we must hurry up, Yuan thought to himself. Outside Chuixing City, where the camp of Konoha Command Center is located, the surrounded Konoha ninja was fighting with Union ninja in the surrounding forest. Nara Shikahisa looked at the map calmly, and Akamichi Choza beside him also became quiet. His bloated body carried a strong smell of blood, and behind Nara Shikahisa was a crumbled pie-shaped blood man. A civilian ninja who lurks in the military camp and provides information for Yun Yin. As the head coach who goes deep alone, Shikahisa Nara doesn't care about the few, obedient, mouse, around him. Just a rat that has lost its value has no meaning for him. He stared at the strategic map, and determination gradually emerged from the depths of his eyes. It is Nara Shikahisa's strategy for Konoha to be able to place ninja troops in the Moon Kingdom bordering the Thunder Kingdom. With a superior medical ninja system and profound ninjutsu background than Yun Yin, the Konoha ninja army is fully qualified to gain a firm foothold in the Kingdom of the Moon. Facing this difficult bone, Union Village dispatched additional manpower to Tianji Country as expected, trying to threaten the border of Fire Country with the same means. As a result, the military operations in Union Village fell into Nara Shikahisa's conspiracy. The fierce battle with Union Village has been going on for many years, and the strategy must be far-sighted and cautious. But tactically, Shikahisa Nara chose to give it a go in the final battle. Under the deliberate arrangement, the spy, Smooth, who infiltrated the Konoha ninja army revealed the location of the command center to Union. Sure enough, at the end of the war, Yun Yin sent additional troops to attack the command center of the Kingdom of the Moon. So at this time, in Nara Shikahisa's prediction, Konoha is also gathering ninja troops in Tianji Country, which borders the Country of Fire, to clear up Union ninjas. As a bait, what he needs to do is to survive with his companions and join the Konoha ninja army who came from Tianji Country. At that time, the war should be over. The Hidden Leaf Village, which is overwhelmed by the army, will win more negotiation rights. Therefore, preserving the vitality of the Konoha ninja army in the Kingdom of the Moon has become the last problem to be solved. Ding Zuo, let's join the battlefield too. As a ninja, there is no reason why the infantry fights in the front and the Jade General watches from the back. Haha, are you going to make a fuss with Lu Ju? It's just what I want. In the forest outside the command center, the fight between Konoha and Union became more intense. At this time, Yuan had already discovered that Union's blood successor ninja, Troy. The gray-haired, long-faced ninja is holding a summoning scroll in his mouth, and holds a soft whip in each hand, with square shurikens hanging from it. In the original work, the magnetic escape ninja of Union Village was reincarnated in the dirt and participated in the Fourth Ninja World War. Although it is not as good as Yuan's Imperial Object Shuriken technique, to cast a square shuriken with one hand, he can do whatever he wants. But once an ordinary ninja touches his shuriken, a special magnetic chakra will reside in his body. Then, Troy will pull out a giant square shuriken. Through the mutual attraction of magnetic evasion chakras, the lives of ordinary ninjas are ended in a perfect way. For Yuan, Troy's magnetic escape has the potential to play some fancy ninjutsu. In terms of actual combat value, Yuan thinks it is worse than Ice Done. After turning on the kaleidoscope, Yuan unconsciously became obsessed with collecting blood successors. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to describe it as a hobby. At this time, Orochimaru was pretending to be the medical ninja of Union, and followed Troy. His scarlet tongue licked his lips, and the snake lurking in the shadows was about to strike Troy. But Yuan has completed the seal of the spiritualization technique. In the blink of an eye, except for Orochimaru and Troy, the ninjas with a radius of 50 meters were instantly stunned and passed out. Troy, with a dignified face, was still immersed in the battle situation in the illusion space. Yuan's soul returned to his body and arrived instantly. He glanced at Orochimaru who was trapped in the illusion, then pinched Troy's neck and put the corpse in the scroll. Orochimaru realized that he had fallen into an illusion. He tried to dispel the illusion, but it didn't work. Yuan snapped his fingers and said with a smile, "Teacher, long time no see." Orochimaru who came to awake, his icy vertical pupils moved up and down. It is not surprising to meet one's own disciple on the battlefield. But this disciple just snatched away the blood succession research material that he had always wanted. Sheku snatching food is too arrogant. But Orochimaru's intuition told himself that it would be very dangerous to go deeper. The disciple's illusion can easily subdue him. The most important thing is that his disciples stay in the laboratory all year round, so they should be weak in actual combat. The timing of Kei Yuan's attack was quite perfect, and there was not a single omission in the whole process. Orochimaru no longer has any thoughts of underestimating Yuan. In his opinion, Yuan is more like a senior ninja. Oh, it turned out to be Mr. Yuan. Can you please hand over my experimental materials? Orochimaru's face was cold, with a kind smile that could not be seen as threatening. Yuan smiled. Teacher, if you only study blood inheritance from the cell level, you won't be able to go far. Hearing the cellular level, Orochimaru's icy vertical pupils moved slightly. Could it be that in your eyes, Mr. Yuan, cell-level research is already an outdated technology? Orochimaru naturally knows something about the field of genetic research in laboratory. After all, the director of Konoha Hospital is his supporter. However, at the more microscopic genetic level, even a ninja with white eyes is difficult to edit and arrange. Although Orochimaru expects his disciples to achieve achievements in the field of genetic research. But he knew that in the face of technical barriers, such expectations were meaningless. Yuan understood the technical level of Orochimaru later. The research in the genetic field is only a matter of time for the speed of scientific progress in the ninja world. After pondering for a while, Yuan said seriously, as scientific ninjas, we will one day touch the genetic level of research. If the whole village is devoted to scientific research, the process will be shortened. This is also what you thought, teacher. Orochimaru once also wanted to follow the scientific research model of the second-generation Hokage Tomona, backed by the resources of the entire ninja village. It's just that for Orochimaru, reality has too many constraints. In the original work, Orochimaru, who left Konoha, chose to establish Odonin village, not necessarily without the idea of raising massive funds for scientific research. So, Mr. Yuan, what do you want to say? Carelessness on the battlefield can kill you at any time. Orochimaru took out kunai and looked around. In the real world, Union Ninja, who is fighting fiercely with Konoha Ninja, has noticed the abnormality here. The extra hands are surrounding here. Yuan's eyes moved slightly, and he glanced past. Dozens of Union ninjas were cut in half before they could perform ninjutsu. Kaleidoscope pupil art, Feng Yunye. It's just that Orochimaru, who was immersed in the illusion, didn't see Yuan's kaleidoscope at all. What he knew was that he quickly and swiftly killed these Union ninjas. Then, Orochimaru heard his disciple ask, "So, sensei, do you still want to be Hokage?" Orochimaru does have the idea of becoming Hokage. As long as he becomes Hokage, the so-called immorality and rebellion in him will disappear because of the prestige of that position. When he was rejected by the high-level Konoha and went to the country of the sea, the idea of becoming Hokage gradually became Orochimaru's obsession. But the reality is cruel, just like the students think. His avant-garde and crazy thoughts can't be tolerated by the rotten Konoha. Therefore, Orochimaru became more and more enthusiastic about exploring the mysteries of the human body. As for the idea of becoming Hokage, he abandoned it after busy scientific research work. But right now, his students actually asked him if he wanted to be Hokage. Orochimaru wanted to laugh, but it wasn't the arrogance and ignorance of his own students. Instead, there is finally a ninja willing to understand his own mind. The answer is yes. To this day, Orochimaru is still willing to become Hokage. So, Mr. Yuan, what you said represents the attitude of the Uchiha clan. No, teacher, you think too much, this is just my personal thought. Hearing this, Orochimaru laughed out loud. This student from the Uchiha clan has the same arrogance as himself. It seems that the students don't only learn scientific research technology from themselves, but also be cautious and afraid of death. Yuan blinked and continued to ask, "How does the teacher view the position of Hokage?" Orochimaru was in a good mood and replied casually, "The strongest ninja in the hidden village, the leader who can completely control the resources of the hidden village, and the strong wind that drives the huge windmill of the hidden village." Orochimaru's words are very abstract, but Yuan is a traveler who understands the plot after all. Teacher, your cognition is too narrow. Hearing the student's comments, Orochimaru's cold vertical pupils trembled, showing an expression of interest. So, Yuan-kun, how do you think of Hokage? Yuan said without hesitation. In your opinion, Hokage is just a collection of power and power in charge of Konoha Hidden Village. But in my opinion, the word, Hokage, cannot represent everything in Konoha Hidden Village. Hokage should be more dedicated to the village and take the helm of the future of Hidden Village. Orochimaru pondered, savoring what Yuan said. Ninjas have to go through life and death in missions and wars all year round. For thinking about many problems, I am used to getting simple, intuitive and practical answers. Because of this, ninjas often don't look at problems deeply enough. But Orochimaru vaguely realized something from the student's words. The last time I felt this way was when Tsunade's younger brother Nawaki died in front of him. The teacher Orochimaru's subtle emotional changes were naturally noticed by Yuan. Yuan continued, those ordinary villagers are working desperately to donate money and prepare supplies for the Konoha ninjas on the front line. They can be regarded as Hokage. Protecting the safety of ninja village with blood and life, Konoha ninjas who even forget themselves, they can be regarded as Hokage. Hearing this, Orochimaru was slightly puzzled. But he followed Yuan's thinking, assuming that Hokage is just a synonym. Hokage can be called Konoha Kage, can be called Konoha Daimyo, or even be called shit or shit, there is no problem. Because just being synonymous with Hokage has no actual meaning at all. The point is, what is the essence of Naruto? Orochimaru temporarily abandoned the idea of using Naruto as a tool. Following Yuan's train of thought, he began to think about the essence of Hokage. A person who contributes to the common home of the big guys, Konoha Hidden Village, and who is at the helm of the future direction of Hidden Village. So, is there only one such person? Orochimaru suddenly thought of the corpses on the test bench, and the ninjas who died on the battlefield. Are their lives and existence meaningless? Do not. Even everything about them after death is contributing to the survival and development of Muya-yin village. Even those who died can be called Hokage. Orochimaru asked himself, would he still be willing to become Hokage? The answer is no need to answer. According to the students, Orochimaru thinks that he has always been the avant-garde and crazy Hokage. At least for now, what I do is for life research, and life research has the potential to change Muya-yin village. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Orochimaru applauded in admiration. What his student said really made him feel enlightened. Yuan-jun, so to speak. Are you also Hokage? No, I'm more interested in being the Hokage of this ninja world. Yuan replied casually. Upon hearing the reply, Orochimaru dazzled with pale golden vertical pupils. In limited cognition, he realized the possible infinite future. Looking at the appearance of his teacher in the illusion space, Yuan intuitively thought that Orochimaru had become more bewildered, and he didn't dislike this change. That is to say, Orochimaru who defected to Konoha can still communicate normally. If it is Orochimaru after defecting, Yuan can only try to talk to a corpse, and then search for his research results. At least the results are good for now. So, after the war with Union is over, what is the teacher's plan? Let me try your so-called genetic research. As Hokage, I'm quite good at scientific research. Orochimaru said contentedly and madly. As Orochimaru and the Zongnin promotion team joined the battle, the gathered elites of Union Village were destroyed. For ninjas, war means death. It is the consensus of every ninja to exchange the life of the enemy for my existence and the safety of my homeland. Outside the tent of the command center, Nara Shikahisa and Akamichi Choza, who were covered in blood, had warm smiles on their faces despite being exhausted. In front of them, Orochimaru was dressed in a plain moon-white gown, like a savior. Although the promoted Jonin team led by Anbu carried out the beheading plan, with gratifying results. But in Nara Shikoku's view, the personal arrival of Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, is the key to turning the tide of the battle. This means that the Konoha ninja army in the Moon Country may continue to be stationed. This is the clarion call and dawn of Konoha's complete victory. It's just that Orochimaru, who has always been cold and impersonal, took the initiative to ask about the injuries of the ninjas. This made the keen Nara Shikajiu vaguely aware of something. With a smile still on his face, he warmly introduced to Orochimaru the battle situation of the Konoha ninja army in the Kingdom of the Moon. Union's ninjas were almost wiped out after Orochimaru joined the battlefield. There were only a few Chunin who escaped, and all the medical ninjas were captured. Orochimaru, who took over the command position, intends to use Union's medical ninjas to treat emergency injuries for the Konoha ninja army. But Yunyan's medical ninjutsu was too hip-stretching, so he could only be monitored by Nara Shikahisa to treat minor injuries for the Konoha ninja army. At this time, Yuan's promoted ninja team and Kakashi and other Anbu ninjas were resting on the sidelines. Although the beheading plan is commonplace, it is a desperate tactic on the street. It can be used temporarily on the battlefield at the cost of 3 civilian ninjas. The ninjas led by Yunyan either died on the spot, or died at the hands of the later Orochimaru. In this small battle, the Konoha ninja army won a complete victory. But the atmosphere in the camp was not so cheerful. The Kingdom of the Moon bordered the Kingdom of Thunder. Union Village can launch a second wave of offensive at any time. Yuan didn't pay much attention to this, and finally took a trip out of the village. Yuan naturally misses the tailed beasts and blood-following ninjas in Union Village. A Troy alone can't satisfy Yuan's appetite. Long, who had finished his dry food, watched curiously Captain Yuan, who was deep in thought. Long's mental state is good, relying on the huge chakra provided by the columnar intracellular armor. In this melee, all the blood on his body belonged to the enemy. At this time, Long's fighting spirit was high. On the other hand, Hyuga ninja and Akai and other commoner ninjas around Takashi were too tired to even say a word. Long was very curious why his captain's clothes were clean. This is a chaotic battlefield, not a training ground for police forces. Anbu beside Kakashi also noticed the abnormality, and they couldn't help thinking that Yuan was the strongest one among the group of promoted ninja teams. On the contrary, Kakashi was just looking at the ninja team normally. In fact, before departure, the 3 Hokages had given him a task. Investigate the anomalies in the Uchiha clan. Kakashi quietly collected information. Just in time, Yuan raised his head and looked at Kakashi calmly, smiling approvingly. It seemed that he just highly praised the command of the Dark Army commander. But for no reason, Kakashi felt a chill all over his body. Half a day later, the Hokage building in Konoha Hidden Village. Hiruzuru Sarutobi looked at the battle report with a gloomy expression. The 2 consultants on the side were also frowning. Only Danzo was holding a teacup and sipping. As a high-level executive, isn't your expression too ugly? The information from the Kingdom of the Moon has not been sent yet. The old man trusts Orochimaru. Turning to the bed, Kaharu rubbed the paper that recorded the battle report of Tanokuni. Union's 2-tailed Jinchuriki suddenly appeared on the Konoha Kunyon front, severely injuring the Konoha ninja army led by Jiraiya. Obviously, the information they obtained before indicated that Union's 2-tailed Jinchuriki will go to the Kingdom of the Moon. At that time, after the high-level people discussed, they specially dispatched Orochimaru and Uchiha Fuchi, who mastered the spiritualization technique, to the Kingdom of the Moon. As long as he hit Yunyan's Orway Jinchuriki hard like he once hit Sanwei, the balance of victory will be tilted towards Konoha Hidden Village. But it's a pity that Yunyang's intelligence ninja is equally good. Or maybe, the attacking direction of Nino Jinchuriki was the Tanokuni front from the beginning. What should we do next? The ninja army under Jiraiya needs to be repaired. It is impossible to go to the Kingdom of the Moon to join the ninja army led by Orochimaru in a short time. According to the latest information, after Union Village left a small garrison in Tanokuni, Ninao Jinchuriki has led a large number of ninja troops to the front line of Tangokuni. Sooner or later, she will appear in the Kingdom of the Moon. Mitomen added, the situation on the battlefield is changing rapidly, and the 4 people far away in Muyayin village are often unable to control the battle situation because of untimely intelligence. Therefore, Nara Shikoku, who is more flexible, and Orochimaru and other Junin were sent to the front line. Wait and see. Hiruzuru Sarutobi took a puff of his pipe in a muffled voice. Anbu arrived instantly, handing over the latest information. Hiruzuru Sarutobi's fingers trembled slightly, as if he was reading naturally. The ninja army of the Tang Kingdom also encountered a large-scale counterattack from Union. Two-tailed Jinchuriki led a large number of Union ninjas to the Kingdom of the Moon. Hiruzuru Sarutobi spit out white smoke with a muffled sound. Although the battle report has not been delivered, it seems that we still have an advantage in the Kingdom of the Moon. Next, we can only look at Orochimaru and that Uchiha Yuan. However, we cannot afford to lose this war. Danzo, you are responsible for dispatching ninja people from the village to Tianjiguo. The key to victory is only the time that Orochimaru insists on. I need Jiraiya to quickly annihilate the garrison of Union from the Kingdom of Tanakaku, and flank the Jinchuriki with the ninja army from the Kingdom of the Moon. Hearing Hiruzen's order, Danzo's face twitched. This is an extremely risky military operation, once Union Village sends troops from the Land of Thunder. Then in the Kingdom of the Moon bordering the Kingdom of Thunder, the Konoha ninja army led by Orochimaru would not last long at all. Danzo recruits ninja troops from all ethnic groups, and it is very likely that they will bear the responsibility for the anger and defeat of the ninja clan after the war. Rizan, you are determined to let me take the blame. Single quote. Danzo was reluctant in his heart, but he still moved with a cane. He knew that he and Rizan were old buddies, and he was stabbed in the back together with the two of them. Danzo knew that it was better to carry it by himself. Only Sun Zan still needs it, and he will eventually be able to be active in the sun one day. Although Danzo has always claimed to be the root of Konoha. Among the intelligence systems of the 5 hidden villages, the root intelligence ninjas are the best. Danzo knows this. At this time, he had the latest battle report in hand. The Konoha ninja army of Tango Country was pinched by the Cloud Yin ninja led by Erwei Jinchuriki and suffered heavy losses. And this information is being read by Uchiha Fugaku, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan on the opposite side of the table. The Hokage building, a meeting room with a very high level of confidentiality. The fragrance of tea curls up, warm and comfortable. Fuyu, who was sitting on the sofa, leaned forward, staring at the information text on his forehead with bulging veins. The Uchiha clan fought against Yunin on the battlefield during the Third World War. Although Union ninjas who are good at ninjutsu are extremely difficult to deal with, their overall strength is weaker than that of the clansmen who have opened Goyu Sharingan. This is the conclusion Fuyu personally observed on the battlefield. If all the clansmen are equipped with the inner armor that their nephew Yuan said, then the Uchiha clan will definitely be famous in the final battle with Union. This was an idea that popped up in Fuyu's mind instantly, and he immediately denied it. Master Danzo, the police force is responsible for maintaining the safety of Konoha Hidden Village. As for the clansmen, they still lack corresponding training. I'm afraid it will be difficult to make a difference on the battlefield. But the Uchiha clan is willing to send an elite team to help the Konoha ninja army win. Fuyu is very sincere, and it is rare to see clearly that even if he made a huge sacrifice. It is also difficult for the Uchiha clan's interests and status in Konoha to improve. Fuyu, don't be in a hurry to express your opinion. Let's look at these again. Fuyu frowned after receiving the Moon Country battle report and the mobilization list of the Hyuga clan from Danzo. He watched the battle report carefully, and after confirming that Yuan, Long and other members of the police force were safe with Shisui and others from Tanokuni, he hurriedly glanced at the mobilization plan of the Hyuga clan. Master Danzo, then please check the candidates drawn from the police force, and I will send the list later. After Fuyu finished speaking, he got up and left. Only then did Danzo calmly put away the mobilization list of the Hyuga clan. After calling the root ninja to present the mobilization list of the Uchiha clan, he pushed open the door of the next room. Hyuga ninja, the patriarch of the Hyuga clan, was drinking tea leisurely, and the Genbu ninja who accompanied him here signaled Danzo with his eyes. The patriarch did not open his eyes to observe. Then Danzo smiled and said, "Daily difference. I've been waiting for a long time, let's take a look at these documents before discussing." Union Village, Rang's office. With a beige mustache, brown skin, and bulging muscles all over his chin, the fourth generation of Reikage was looking at his subordinates who were very busy. After several years of fierce battle with Konoha, today has finally achieved fruitful results. Lei Yingai also felt a sense of relief. These busy subordinates in front of me are trustworthy, especially Tutai. He was the one who insisted on cultivating Erwei Jinchuriki secretly all these years. Coincides with Konoha's fourth Hokage and Nine Tails Jinchuriki's death. Even if there is no need for the intervention of Rabbi Eight Tails Jinchuriki, this war should be won by Union Village. And Jinchuriki lived up to expectations, and the Konoha defense lines of Tanokuni and Unokuni were like paper in front of that resentful cat. Jinchuriki Nibi Yukido is not even 15 years old. Although they are women, the two Yumu people are also Lei Yingai's proud subordinates in Union Village, where martial arts and fighting are highly valued. At this time, the earthen platform whose left eye was covered by a square black eye patch pulled away from the busy crowd and appeared in front of the fourth Reikage eye. He used to be the chief examiner of the ability test of the excellent thunder plow and hot knife, and he was the minister of the third and fourth generations of Reikage. As long as the two Yumurin can destroy the only remaining Konoha ninja army in the Kingdom of the Moon, we will be able to win this war. Lei Yingai nodded. Tutai, you have worked hard, I will leave this place to you for the time being, and I will go to the Kingdom of the Moon myself. Hearing that Lei Ying was going to the front line in person, Tutai hurriedly dissuaded him. Master Reikage, we just need to wait for the news of victory. There are no enemies on the battlefield that you can find fun. Lei Yingai pondered slightly. No, important subordinates are fighting on the battlefield, how can I have the nerve to stay in a safe village? Seeing Lei Ying jumping out of the window, Tutai could only urgently gather Anbu and tell them to follow. Afterwards, he sent a ninja to visit Yunlei Gorge. The former brother and combat partner of the fourth generation of Reikage Eye, Kurabi, are practicing tailed beast jade there. The fourth Hokage and Nine Tails Jinchuriki have passed away, and there is no ninja on the Union Konoha front that can threaten Reikage-sama anymore. But the necessary preparations still need to be made. Tutai has always believed that there is no room for negligence in the war with Konoha. He stood at Reikage's office desk at a very high place and looked towards the Kingdom of the Moon. Looking across the distance, he seemed to see the dilapidated Konoha Ninja Command Center outside Chuixing Town. At this time, Orochimaru, Nara Shikahisa, and Akamichi Chozo were sitting on both sides of the table in the tent. Although the Konoha ninja army has the advantage of medical ninjas, they cannot cope with continuous fatigue combat. What's more, the information on the table is quite unfriendly to Konoha. The intervention of Renjuli, who can complete the tail beast transformation, our combat prospects are not optimistic. Nara Shikahisa thought for a long time before asking Orochimaru. Oshimaru-sama, may I ask if you have the ninjutsu that can restrain the tailed beast? Seeing Orochimaru's indifferent nod, Shikahisa Nara breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, the high level will not transfer Orochimaru to the Konoha Union front line for no reason. Then what I say next will be the most dangerous situation. Shikahisa Nara changed the subject and pointed to the blood-stained strategic map on the table. What we have to do now is to fight against the Ninao Jinchuriki who came from Tango country, and besides that, we have to be prepared. Nara Luju knocked on the location of Union Village in the Land of Thunder. The village's Renjuli seldom appear on the battlefield, but Union has at least 2 Renjuli that can be used in war. At this moment, because no one spoke in the camp, the atmosphere was strangely silent. Everyone began to doubt more or less in their hearts, why did the first Hokage give the tailed beast to the other 4 hidden villages? If it is strategic deterrence, let the 5 hidden villages achieve parity in strength. Think deeply about the dangers of war with each other and then feel awe. Well, the idea is undoubtedly a failure. In the current situation, Konoha Hidden Village has no Churiki available, and the hostile Union Village can even send out 2 Churiki. Did the original Hokage consider it? Did the modern third-generation masters foresee something? When the pressure of survival appears on the shoulders of each ninja, their thinking becomes active uncontrollably. In this regard, Orochimaru and Nara Shikahisa have no good way to deal with it. They can only make sure that this panic does not spread among the ninja army. After all, apart from the 3 of them, no one knew that Jinchuriki was leading the Kumoinen army from the direction of Unogo on the back. But Orochimaru had to let Yuan know. According to the plan of the 4 high-level people, their own students are still the key to defeating Yun Yin this time. As long as the white-haired weirdo arrives, Muya Yin village still has hope of winning. Yuan was inspecting a corpse, while Long was following the captain to observe the wound lines with Sharingan. See Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, coming. Long, who was suddenly covered in chills, seemed to walk away naturally. Yuanjin, are you interested in this body that was chopped up at the waist? Orochimaru squatted down like his own students. Union Ninja's body was broken at the waist, and if there were no bloodstains blocking the view, the wound would look smooth. It's not quite like a ninja's killing style. No, just looking around. By the way, teacher, it's not a coincidence that you and I met here. My own students have asked this question, and Orochimaru has nothing to hide. Orochimaru knows how terrifying the combined ninjutsu of Ryuwahitsu and Genjutsu is. Although Renjuli is stronger than Tailed Beast's illusion resistance, it only needs to catch the opportunity by surprise. It may not be impossible to make Wei Jinchuriki lose his fighting ability in one face-to-face. Similarly, the scientific research results of Orochimaru are also secret weapons. Just these, there is no need to tell my own students. Overall, we still have to fight the Tailed Beast side by side. It's just that this time it might be more troublesome. Orochimaru commented so. Yuan glanced at the ninja troops equipped around him and gathered under the summoning order. Although they were wounded, their tired bodies gradually ignited their fighting spirit. For everyone present, only by being alive can they protect their homeland, and only by being alive can they be qualified to go back. After Yuan left, Orochimaru glanced at the body of the cloud-hidden ninja that had been cut in half. Gradually realizing some secrets, Orochimaru's expression became ecstatic, but slowly he controlled that crazy impulse. After calming down, Orochimaru quickly commanded the ninja army to assemble. Yuan calmly checked the ninja equipment, and nodded in satisfaction with his teacher's performance. The two Union coalition forces led by Muto have not yet arrived, and the sentient ninjas in Konoha's ninja army discovered the traces of the fourth Raikage. With more than 30 Onbis, the fourth Raikage, wrapped in bright blue chakra, quickly approached the Konoha ninja army. In this regard, Orochimaru can only separate out the ninja army to fight against this surprise attack force. As for him himself, he tries to use the poisonous mist and the barrier to fight against the fourth generation of Raikage. Although the battle process is dangerous, Orochimaru encounters personal attacks from the fourth generation of Raikage from time to time. Relying on the signature, Orochi-style substitution technique, Orochimaru can barely hold back the fourth generation of Raikage. On the other side, the Jonin promotion team headed by Kakashi and Anbu cooperated with the ninja army to divide and suppress Union Anbu. They still use the previous, beheading, plan. Yunyan's Anbu people were quickly aware of Konoha ninjas' tricks after encountering several backstabs. They simply used their tricks and tried to act as the dead Konoha assassins in order to sneak attack on the top of the Konoha ninja army. However, this poor imitation was quickly spotted on the spot. At this moment, Yuan was manipulating a group of shurikens to easily grind a Union Anbu into a meat paste. In the distance behind him, the violent chakra erupted and formed a hurricane that swept across the forest. The strong fire attribute instantly made the ninja soldiers present feel thirsty. After the Konoha ninja army confronted the surprise attack team led by the fourth Raikage, Kumo Hiden's Ninao Jinchuriki finally rushed to the battlefield. The resentment cat, wrapped in blue flames, quickly crashed into the battle line of Konoha ninja army. In this regard, Shikahi Sonara has long been prepared. The three Jonin of the Akamichi clan quickly cast the technique of super multiplying, turning into mountain-like giants to restrain them from three directions. It's just that Konoha's intelligence work is obviously not in place. The faint blue flames quickly burned the gigantic Jonin of the Akamichi clan, and after the nimble resentment cat scratched the three giants, it rushed towards Nara Shikaku with a hurricane and flames. Behind the resentful cat, the Union ninja army quickly followed. This kind of tail beast like Jinchuriki and the ninja army cooperate to fight tactics. Only Union Village, which is at the forefront of research on the weaponization of tailed beasts, can perform it perfectly. However, as soon as the resentful cat appeared on the battlefield, Yuan left the battle group and approached quietly. The fragments of the golem close to him became excited, and he could empathize with the longing for the tailed beast chakra. Resentment cat suddenly stopped moving and became vigilant. It looked down at the human ninja standing on the treetop in front of him in puzzlement. The thin ninja made eye contact with the hill-like resentful cat across the air. With Yuan kindly waving his hand and disappearing in an instant, the resentful cat was furious and chased away from the battlefield. The Konoha ninja army's pressure was greatly reduced for a while, and the big guys cheered up each other's morale and counterattacked the Union ninja army. While Yunyin's ninjas were dodging, they couldn't figure out the situation for a while. Their task is to cooperate with the two-tailed Jinchuriki to destroy the Konoha ninja army. But Jinchuriki ran away unexpectedly. There is no way, this battle can only be fought by oneself. The battle situation became chaotic again, and the Konoha ninja army, which was at a numerical disadvantage, was quickly suppressed. On the other side, the coastline bordering the Kingdom of the Moon and the country of Tang is located. Yuan watched the huge, resentment cat undo its tail beast transformation, and turned into a heroic female ninja chasing after him. The two Renjuli who were sealed inside the wooden man's body were Erwei Yulu, also known as the resentful cat. Her messy beige long hair fluttered in an instant, and the wooden man stared at the Konoha ninja in front of her. Yulu told her that this Konoha ninja has something very familiar and extremely annoying. Only when it finds out what it is it willing to continue to cooperate with the wooden man to fight. Therefore, the Yumu man who is not a perfect Renjuli can only follow Erwei's order to chase after him. But after seeing that the other party was a ninja who was about the same age as him, the wooden man said kindly, "Although you are a Konoha ninja, it would be too pitiful to die at such an age. You have something I am interested in, give it to me, and I can spare your life." He laughed. "So you think you can kill me?" Hearing this, Murin understood that the young Konoha ninja in front of him was deliberately leading him here. She didn't understand. If I remember correctly, Konoha's nine tails Jinchuriki is still a baby. I didn't know that there was a powerful ninja like you in Konoha Hidden Village. You'll find out soon enough. While speaking, Yuan quietly completed the seal. The monster of 9 dragon head, ox body and dragon tail quickly turned into the size of a hill, overlooking Murin who had turned into a beast with a tail. In Yuan's eyes, kaleidoscope patterns emerged. The golden Susanna turned into armor was pasted on the outside of the monster transformed by Fuchi. The difficulty of the beast. After finally meeting the opportunity, Yuan naturally wanted to try the power of Gundam. And Murin, who can initially transform into a tailed beast, is a good opponent. Laugh. In the high-speed phantom that tears the wind. The difficulty of the beast held the red golden sword in his hand and slashed at the resentful cat surrounded by dark blue flames. The wind of the knife was fierce, smashing the large virgin forest behind the resentful cat. The birds startled up, the wild beasts fled, and the quiet coastal area suddenly became chaotic. But those ant-like lives will not affect the contest between monsters in the slightest. Captured the high-speed movement of the resentful cat, the difficulty of the beast turned around and slashed vertically. Cracks several feet wide spread from the ground to the sea, and the residual power continued to stir up turbid waves tens of meters high. But the resentful cat is a feline animal after all, and its movements are extremely agile, and Eudugian has brought his agility nature to the extreme. The point of the blade of the disaster of the beast, the resentful cat can always barely avoid it. For this kind of fight and escape, tiger and cat game, Yuan is quite patient. In the original work, the wooden man can even turn into a beast with a tail to fight against the undead duo organized by Akatsuki in the narrow sewer. It can be seen that even if the tail is turned into a beast, the agility of the resentful cat is incredible. But this kind of agility did not pose any threat to Yuan, and the resentful cat was also unable to cause harm to himself. Laugh. The explosion that tore through the air swelled beside him, and the resentful cat seized the opportunity to get close to the difficulty of the beast. It had 5 sharp bony spurs protruding from its palms with pink and white flesh, and it grabbed on the shell of Susan in the difficulty of the beast, leaving a light white mark. This is the flaw of the resentful cat itself, its super fast speed will increase its destructive power. But it's not enough to look at the beast's difficulty with Susan's shell. Yuan successfully seized this fleeting opportunity, and the dragon head wrapped in Susan's shell turned into a giant palm, and slapped the head of the resentful cat. The sudden heavy injury caused the resentful cat to lose consciousness for a short time. Soon after waking up, it pressed its 2 front paws angrily, leaving a long scratch on Susan's shell. With the force of the recoil, the resentful cat jumped onto the small hill by the sea. Its huge hind claws penetrated nearly a foot into the ground, almost breaking the mountain. The fluorescent yellow cat's eyes were wide open, and the huge-tailed beast chakra gathered in the mouth of the resentful cat. A huge fireball that scorched the air and distorted the sight was ejected from the mouth of the resentful cat. Compared with other tailed beasts, Mitaba is more compatible with fire attribute chakra, and most of Jinchuriki's ninjutsu attacks are related to fire escape. But the Uchiha clan is also an expert in fire escape. The difficulty of the beast jumped out of the dodging room and made a seal with the palm of Susan's shell. Fire escape huo extinguishment. A huge fireball like a meteorite from the sky collided with the fireball ejected by the resentful cat. The surrounding time seemed to stand still for a moment, and the billowing heat waves scattered and swallowed the huge bodies of resentment cat and tailed beast's difficulty. The seawater was quickly evaporated by the fire waves, and dense fog billowed in the area visible to the naked eye. The huge-tailed beast chakra is mixed in, making the atmosphere here even more chaotic and chilling. The resentful cat's glowing yellow eyes rolled, trying to find out the location of beast's difficulty in the dense fog. Unfortunately, it has neither excellent eyes nor perception ninjutsu. Simply, the resentful cat gathered the larger and heavier chakra in the mouth. It doesn't matter even if you can't see it, as long as you kill the opponent, the battle will end. The yin and yang attribute chakras were quickly fused with a perfect ratio of 2:8, and compressed into a jet-black speckled ball. The resentful cat opened its mouth and roared, and the tailed beast jade blasted a sky-high wave in the center of the fog-shrouded area. The wind blew away the thick fog, and the vision was clear again. On the edge of a deep pit that is big enough to turn a hill upside down, the difficulty of the beast stands proudly. Around its body, high-temperature steam was evaporating vigorously, and the two golden swords in its hands were broken in half. Relying on its huge body and Susan's shell, the difficulty of the beast, transformed by Yuan, blocked the tailed beast jade from the front. Seeing this scene, the horror in the eyes of the resentful cat disappeared, and the tailed beast jade was its strongest destructive move. Although the monster that looked like 9 tails was not killed, the opponent had been severely injured and unable to move in a short time. The faint blue flame that dragged out the afterimage was wrapped in a thick white mist, and the resentful cat dodged behind the beast's disaster. Amidst the strange cry of meow, the resentful cat opened its mouth and roared, and the tailed beast jade condensed again. Personal attack, unavoidable, cohesion, squirt, evacuate. The resentful cat's movements were completed together, but due to the large amount of chakra consumption in a short period of time, it appeared hazy and tired in its firefly yellow eyes. But the expected explosion sound did not come. The resentful cat turned its head and stared blankly, only to see the 9 dragon heads wrapped in the Susan's shell of the difficulty of the beast, were holding the tailed beast jade in the air. After merging the golem gene, Yuan's own chakra absorption ability is also increasing rapidly as he continues to devour the tailed beast chakra. Although the tailed beast Yuzhong is an extremely violent tailed beast chakra, the fragments of the golem of the outer way are more appetizing for it. Thus, in the hands of the tailed beast difficulty, transformed by Yuan, the pitch-black tailed beast jade was quickly absorbed. After the head shrunk to 1/5 of its original size, the difficulty of the beast stabbed half of the taidao into the tailed beast jade. After Yuan briefly cast the spiritualization technique to sense the distribution of Konoha and Yunyin's ninja troops, the difficulty of the beast pulled the tailed beast jade with half a sword and threw it in the direction. Explosions carrying blinding light and heat spread throughout the Cloud Ninja Army. The fierce Union Ninja Army's offensive was instantly destroyed. Taking this opportunity, the Konoha Ninja Army did not retreat, but launched a counterattack against the Union Ninja Army without fear of death. None of the red-eyed ninjas of the two armies had time to think about what happened to the sudden explosion. On the contrary, a few sensory ninjas discovered the source, and their expressions became weird. How could the tailed beast of his family, Union, attack his own people? In the coastal area, after a short rest, the resentful cat regained its agile state before the attack. Tailed beasts are famous for their rough skin, thick flesh and large amount of chakra, and their recovery ability is quite amazing. At this time, Yuan did not deliberately maintain the Bakijashu and Suzanengu. After absorbing the chakra of Two Tails and Brigade, while the golem fragments undergo new changes, their various attributes are continuously strengthened. Yuan Shu clenched his fists and felt the smooth operation of all the cells in his body. At this moment, he felt lighter, faster and fiercer. It disappeared from the spot at a speed that the naked eye could not catch, and when it reappeared, Yuan leapt high. With fluorescent yellow eyes rolled up, the resentful cat immediately spotted the attacking enemy. It waved its fleshy paw with bony spurs to pounce head-on. Yuan just turned around and stepped lightly on the fleshy palm, and instantly appeared on top of resentful cat's head. After devouring the tailed beast chakra, Yuan's teleportation technique was greatly strengthened because of the agility of her way itself. The palm of the thin human ninja continued to superimpose speed, and fell on the head of the burning blue flame of the resentful cat, and Yuan slapped down with a huge force. Speed is power. The hill-sized resentful cat sank into the ground, and the cracked lines spread to the surroundings. Finally, with the sound of boom, the sky was full of dust. At this time, the dizzy resentful cat screamed and pounced around, but Yuan had already left in an instant. After calming down, the resentful cat brushed away the dust it stirred up. Intuition told it that the shrunken human ninja was more terrifying than the suspected nine-tailed monster just now. But the strange thing is, when did this human ninja get his own taste? The resentful cat doesn't understand Yuan's ability, and only regards him as an enemy. At this moment, Yuan's figure appeared in front of the resentful cat. Without thinking, the palms with bone spurs slapped each other, and the sharp bone spurs interweaved a cold cutting arc in midair. But the resentment cat didn't feel like killing the human ninja at all. After the attack stopped, it was shocked to find that the human ninja was standing on its shoulders. With just a light punch, the cat's ears were injured and he lost his balance and fell to the ground. You Murin, you will come instead. Konoha's ninja is too flexible. In the spiritual space belonging to the tailed beast and Renjuli, after the resentment cat asked, the tailed beast transformation was quickly lifted. Yuan then left in an instant, looking at the two Yumu figures in the steaming heat with great interest. At this moment, she had long beige hair draped behind her shoulders, half-meter-long bony cat claws grew from her fingertips, and a dark blue-tailed beast tail was dragging from the spine. The ninja costume on his body was damaged, exposing extremely white and greasy skin. Let the wooden figure add a heroic and sharp beauty. She raised her head and looked at Yuan, her eyes moved slightly and she finally made up her mind. The moment the left foot sank half an inch into the ground, and the sand and stones burst. The wooden man that hit was as fast as a beige lightning bolt. The cat's claws that tore through the strong wind intertwined and grabbed Yuan's shoulder. After removing the beast-tailed form, the speed of the wooden man is faster than that of the resentful cat. Yuan's speed is not slow, not to mention that he has already left the imprint of Flying Thunder God on the shoulder of the resentful cat. At this moment, the tailed beast will naturally be removed and the wooden man will inherit it. The shoulders tightened, and Yuan's whole body lifted the wooden man who was moving at high speed. Before she could take any action, the fragments of the golem on Yuan's body became excited again. With the help of physical contact, he greedily sucked the chakra of the wooden man and Yulf. This heroic union scarf still hasn't lost the courage to resist. It's just that before her bony cat claws had time to stretch out, her whole body went limp. Yuan Kong held the chin of the wooden man with his hand, and the kaleidoscope lines appeared in his eyes. With the help of the kaleidoscope and the blood succession limit of the Kurama family, can the illusion be used to control Jinchuriki? Yuan didn't know, but even Dai too was overwhelmed by his illusion and fell into an autistic space. Yuan would like to see if the wooden man has the ability to resist. The wooden man's pupils were dilated, and the expression on his face gradually became confused. At the same time, in her way Yulf's spiritual space, Yuan's spiritual projection quietly emerged. Are you from the Uchiha clan? The voice that is more feminine is gentle and mellow. The tailed beast chakra is being absorbed rapidly, and it is visibly weakened by the naked eye. But Yulu could still smell the familiar and disgusting smell from Yuan. You are the tailed beast from Union Village, right? You want to know why you are interested in me, a Konoha ninja. Looking up at the resentful cat made of blue flames, Yuan released the chakra of the three-tailed Isofu and the six-tailed rhinoceros. This is proof that your fellows have traded with me for freedom with chakra. I have accepted your chakra, and I can give you a chance to ask. Yuan did not explain further to Yulu. It also belongs to the tailed beast, and it has similar freedom needs as the three-tailed and six-tailed animals. But for Yulf, freedom doesn't seem to be what it needs most. Uchiha's ninja, you can appear here, it means that Yukito has been defeated by you. Tell me what you plan to do with it. If you kill her, I will die with you. U Brigade's own tailed beast chakra is constantly decreasing, but it still dares to threaten. After a little thought, Yuan realized that Mataru cared a lot about Renju Rikyamu. It's like the six-tailed rhinoceros didn't want Jinchuriki to die suddenly because it was free. So Yuan pretended to be casual and said fiercely, "She and you are tailed beast weapons. From Konoha Ninja's standpoint, I will kill you both." Well, let me think about it. After that, you who entered the resurrection process will regain your freedom after you come back alive. This can be regarded as a deal between you and me again. Exchange chakra for freedom. Hearing Yuan's arbitrary and arrogant words, the blue flames all over his body rose with anger. The whole resentful cat was irritable and furious, and even the wooden figure in the real world began to emit an ominous chakra. Seeing this, Yuan understood the reason why Yomurin was able to complete the tailed beast transformation at such a young age. Her relationship with Mataru is unexpectedly good. Hey, are you threatening? Or are you incompetent and furious? When Yuan waved his hand, a light curtain appeared. As the brigade was absorbed and chakra became weaker and weaker, Yuan's authority in the spiritual world of the tailed beast continued to increase. On the light curtain, Yomurin has lost consciousness under the ravages of illusion. Her crystal saliva slid down the corners of her mouth, showing a pitiful expression that had been spoiled. Yulu roared and threatened again, but Yuan dismissed it. I gave you the chance to ask, but you don't seem to bother taking it. Yulu, I want you to figure out the situation. Whether it is her or you, your life or death is in my hands. The figure of Yuan, who was clearly standing in front of the resentful cat, was set off extremely short. But his aura overwhelmed the tailed beast, causing her to feel shuddering again. In the beginning, Yuan gave Yulu a chance to choose, but it didn't bother with the conditions mentioned by humans at all. However, when the haughty resentment cat recognized the situation, it finally realized how humble it was, so it could only change its words. Uchiha's ninja, let Yukito live. That's the deal I really want to make with you. Hearing the pleading of the resentful cat, Yuan said indifferently. You are tailed beast and Jinchuriki. Putting union back goes against my position as a Konoha ninja. As for bringing it with you, you will riot at any time. Give me a reason to keep you alive. Tailed beasts live longer than humans, and have a clearer understanding of the ninja world and themselves. This is the reason why Yuan bypassed Yomurin to communicate with Yulu. At this time, Yulu also calmed down from his anger and humiliation, and Yumu still had hope of living. Her cat eyes revealed a thoughtful expression. Yes, for union, Yomurin and I are tailed beast weapons. But for you Konoha, we can also be tailed beast weapons. As long as you keep weakening my chakra, Yumu and I won't be able to transform into a tailed beast. What's more, we don't have the strength to defeat you from the beginning. Neither she nor I are idiots, so naturally we won't seek our own death. Listening to Yulu's calm analysis, Yuan nodded in satisfaction. Yes, exchange your chakra for the chance of Jinchuriki to survive. It's just that you and your Jinchuriki have to remember that you are not fake weapons, and you can also be my allies of Uchiha Yuan. No one is born to be a tool, and no one is born to be used unconditionally. After saying this, Yuan's figure disappeared into Yul's mental space. The speed at which chakra was absorbed dropped a lot, and for a while there was no thought of resistance. It just echoes Yuan's words. No one is born a tool. Single quote. It is no exception to its own personality. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.